My sister-in-law said I don't deserve my new home. Now their family is in shambles.
Well, she doesn't deserve to speak.
I'm afraid of her. My husband, 38 male, and I, 33 female, just bought our first house. My husband has a pretty high-paying job. I work and make a decent salary. But our budget to buy our house was definitely influenced more by his earnings. By the way, this comes from user Cat Drama on the Too Hot Takes subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, why don't you go over to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, we had his family over last week. Generally, I loved his parents. They have always been really good to me, and they're fun. I've not spent as much time with his sister outside of holiday gatherings, but we do have her son, the husband's nephew, stay with us for a week over the summer the last few years. So I know him well too, and I love him. Everyone mentioned above comes over and we show them around the house. At one point, I'm showing sister-in-law the kitchenette in the basement, and I say something like, "It's great that our house has this space now, so if you want to visit us, you'll have basically a whole separate apartment." And she goes, "Our? Is it also your house?" I'm immediately confused, but also I guess she could have assumed my husband had bought it on his own. So I said, "Yeah, we bought it together." And she goes, "Do you think you deserve to own half of this house?"
Yeah, we bought it together.
Yeah, he's my husband. I don't know. I just think that's crazy.
Well, you can keep your thoughts to yourself.
Yeah, because I think he's my husband.
And I think we bought it together.
I was shocked, and I mostly panicked. And I said, "Well, I do, yeah." I fled to the basement. I immediately told my husband away from his family, and he, in turn, immediately went to talk to his sister. I went to hang out with his parents and didn't say anything to them, but then we heard shouting outside. My husband and his sister were yelling at each other. I know people are different with their siblings, but I've never really heard him yell before. I could hear him tell her that we don't have a prenup, and she called him an idiot. I had to tell his parents what was going on, and they went and intervened and left pretty quickly with his sister and nephew, who didn't hear any of this through the magic of video games, I think. His mom said sorry to me on the way out. I did touch base with my husband, and he was livid, like way more angry than I'd expect. He told me that before we got married, his sister was the beneficiary of his life insurance, and he thought she was angry over essentially being removed from all his assets. We'd been married for 3 years.
Does she think that she deserved that?
Do you think you deserve that? She apparently had texted him about being added onto the house paperwork a few weeks ago during the buying process, and he just ignored her.
That's actually
rightfully so, because that's cringe.
crazy.
His parents have reached out to me and have been very sweet and apologetic, but they really want to fix things and have asked if I'll talk to sister-in-law. I'm trying to step away from it and just say it's now between my husband and his sister. Is that fair? Of course, I'm a bit hurt by her saying that, but at the end of the day, if she has problems with how he's handling his assets, that's between the two of them. Right? I feel really bad because his family has always been so sweet and I really love his nephew, so I also want things to be fixed. There is an edit. I will make an update, but we have plans to chat about it today, speak to his parents, and figure out how we want to go forward. I agree with essentially all of you, and I'm not planning to discuss it with her until she apologizes. And to answer some common questions, nephew's dad is not and has not been in the picture for a long time. Sister-in-law has been in and out of relationships with not the best type of dudes. She is younger and there's no other siblings. Yes, there's been a pattern of her getting more help from their parents, but it's because she really needs it, being a single mom, and my husband has always been pretty independent. I promise I don't tell every person on the street about our lack of a prenup. My husband did come into the marriage with a lot of assets, so I think when his friends and family expressed curiosity about a prenup, it was coming from a place of concern or care for him, and I love that, so it felt appropriate to share how we made that decision. No one ever pushed back. I've never talked to his sister about it, and I think she didn't know, but my husband sort of yelled at her in anger in a "we don't even have a prenup" kind of way. We are planning on kids, but could still keep up what we are currently doing for nephew even if we did, and he just became an official teenager, so the college fund is close to complete. At this stage, we don't add much money to it anymore. It's just accruing. And we have some comments. But before we get into those comments, what are your comments?
I just think that I agree with you, OP. I don't think that it's really your business to have that conversation with the sister-in-law. I think that's absolutely your partner's responsibility, because what would you even say to her? Like, she's like, "You don't deserve that." And you're like, "So, hey, remember when you said that I didn't deserve that? I do."
Yeah, you just go back to her. You go, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it really hard. And it turns out I do actually deserve that. So
I don't know how you would even have that conversation because she's so clearly wrong.
you should go ask my husband if he thinks I deserve to be a part of the house.
Yes.
Why don't you go ask him?
That would be great.
Comments. Comment number 1. What could you possibly say to your sister-in-law? Exactly. I think you say that the issue isn't really about you. It's about how sister-in-law thinks everything that's your husband's is also hers. That's something your husband needs to set straight, not you. You just sit there and stay pleasant. You handled this perfectly. It's not your battle and your husband has your back. Clearly, sister-in-law sounds insane. OP says, I know this is right, but it's just really frustrating. We've had the awkward conversation of explaining why we don't have a prenup to some friends and family, and I really don't mind getting into those topics or talking about those things. Which at the end of the day, it's also like none of your business. Yeah. Unless your friend is like a prenup, what's that? Like if they're informed and they've made their decision,
why are
it's no one else's decision.
Too late.
Right.
It's also just
can you do that proactively?
You mean after the fact?
Oh yeah, proactive would definitely be the wrong word.
Yeah. Proactive would be
post-active.
Post nuptially.
Or reactively.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Can you just like make an agreement? You're like, hey, yeah, Mr. Lawyer, I would like it so that if we split up, I get half the money.
Well, it wouldn't be a prenup anymore because that's prenup.
A post-nup.
It would be a post-nup.
That's that post-nup clarity.
Post-nup.
I know this is different because she's not coming from a place of curiosity or just wanting to understand, but it's wild to me that it jumped this quickly, so suddenly when we bought a house. Comment number 2 says, I don't think you need to do anything. Your husband took care of his greedy sister for you. And we have an update, so let's get into it. Holy crap, y'all. I was not expecting that much feedback. Holy moly. Y'all, I was not expecting that much feedback, but I'm super grateful. It was really affirming and validating to read a lot of those comments. And a bit humbling too. This recent move did move us a little bit out of town, so I'm still close to my social circle, but didn't immediately have someone to vent to. And you all were really helpful in that way. So, update. She was secretly planning to make him disappear to get his life insurance money. Just kidding. No, not really. After talking a bunch with both my husband and his parents, we figured out a few things. He didn't tell her that he's replaced her as the beneficiary on everything because he assumed she would know that. So she had texted him during the home purchase, hey, do you need my signature on anything for this new house? He had messaged her back, no? Question mark, question mark, question mark. She then essentially asked if the house was an asset set up like his life insurance, and he told her that everything is set up fine and that I'm on all the paperwork, and she responded, okay, smiley face. So I do think part of this is her truly not knowing how marriage is supposed to work, and she seems to have expected there wouldn't be any change. I found out she also mentioned this with their parents. Her main concern being that if something happened to my husband, I wouldn't help her son like we've been doing as a couple. Mother-in-law and father-in-law say they told her not to worry and that I love our nephew, but that's what was going on behind the scenes before all of this. Mother-in-law and father-in-law also admitted that they may have unintentionally encouraged this because they've always really encouraged their kids to support each other. But due to the various dynamics at play, what that ends up being is pressure on my husband and a sort of, your brother will always be there for you message to his sister. This was particularly strong in the last few years before I met and married him because his parents thought he was planning to be a lifelong bachelor. They're not wrong in this. He definitely had that mindset at that time. And so then he and his sister really were, in their eyes, each other's lifelong person. So the last few years, there had been this level of fallout I wasn't even aware of due to that. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this due to the fact that we are on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts, period. Just search OK Storytime, the name of this show, and you can listen to over 2,000 episodes. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Have we learned anything?
We've learned that his sister is got weird expectations, and the parents are like, yeah, but we encourage that.
Yeah.
And they need to sit the sister down and tell her what's what.
Yep. Sometimes you just gotta go, okay.
And you don't need to be involved in any of that.
Hey, handle your sister, husband.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's on.
Because it's not even like, she said all that and you like got really mad at her and was like, ah, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. You literally were like, she was like, do you think you deserve that? And you said, yes. And then she's like, rah, rah, rah. And you're like, okay, bye. And you ran away. Cut and dry.
Pretty perfect response the whole way through. I also learned sister-in-law is in a not so great financial situation. Due to past issues, the whole family essentially refuses to give her cash, but will do things like buy groceries or pay phone bills, etc. So she's been struggling, and I think feeling a little desperate and jealous. Oh, of course, none of this is an excuse, and I'm not speaking to her until I get an apology. My husband has also said he needs at least a week or two before he speaks to her, but he does plan to. His parents are totally in agreement and understand. They're going to tell her that we talked about the dynamics at play and that she needs to acknowledge what is going on here and take accountability for her part in it. So hopefully that'll start things off in the right direction. Being too understanding and too flexible has been a difficulty for me for a long time. Having feedback about how truly effed up the situation was really helpful for me. So thank you. For me, there's a fine line between being unbothered and being a doormat, and I'm definitely working on differentiating those two. And that is the end of that story.
Well, there you go, folks.
Well, that's a good, yeah, know when you're being a doormat and know when you're just being a chill guy.
Yeah, sometimes you're just really not, you don't need to be involved in a situation.
I feel like this was a chill guy kind of moment.
Yeah.
Just like in the moment, I'm going to be chill about that because, yeah, what? Okay.
Yeah, like I've been in a situation where a person's just like screaming at me and I'm like, I'm actually not involved in this.
Yeah, you're like, since I have no investment in this, I actually don't care.
Yeah.
I hope you feel better about whatever it is. I'm going to eat hummus.
Yeah. My sister-in-law is purposefully excluding me. Even my mother-in-law is upset at her.
Everyone's mad at sister-in-law.
So I am now officially engaged per the Indian culture to my SO of 1.5 years. We had traditional American engagement and did an Indian engagement later on to fulfill the wish of my future mother-in-law. Future mother-in-law is great and we get along extremely well. And she started calling me her future daughter-in-law at her eldest son's wedding. By the way, this comes from Randomness Butterfly. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, her daughter-in-law, my future sister-in-law, is a brat. I helped her plan an American-style wedding as I was a prior wedding planner. My future mother-in-law was overwhelmed and with how I was raised, agreed to help her because honestly, she had never been to an American wedding and didn't know what to do. I lived in a different state, like 2,000 miles away, and pointed out to my SO this should be their gift because if I was to charge them my rates, it would be well expensive as I would have to cultivate new contacts and add my travel expenses. Moving forward, I helped put this wedding together and also was a part of the wedding party. I only asked she covered my dress as I was putting in a lot of time in getting her wedding together. She agreed to cover it, but never did and complained that the dress was $280. Yeah, I was so pissed because she thinks everything should be free. And I pointed out paying for my dress will be the least she can do because I was putting her wedding together while she was in India.
Isn't that sort of like the lowest expectation is you pay for the bridesmaid's dress?
Yeah, that's just like, she's asking for one thing. She's like, I'm literally putting together your wedding for free. I did what my future mother-in-law asked and helped put the wedding together for her, including talking to vendors and putting decorations together and a backdrop for them in the reception. Also, during the wedding, I was put into being a host role to help my future mother-in-law out along with my SO. We pulled off a miracle with only 1 month to plan. I have more stories of the crazy that followed after the wedding, but this gives you an idea. SO and I are visiting for the holidays after we got engaged, Indian engagement in November. Future sister-in-law and future brother-in-law did not come to our engagement. My understanding is that this was not good per their culture. Instead, they drove the 6 hours to my future mother-in-law's house, cleaned, and put up a new picture, including a photo we all took, and that they had purposely cut me out of the photo. Dang, they don't like you.
Criminal.
You can see my hand on my SO's arm, but not me. I am hurt by this. I did all this work to pull off a miracle during the vid on short notice. I would like to point out we've been American engaged since June. I want to call and scream at her, but I do not want to upset mother-in-law who is already upset because future sister-in-law cut me out of the photo. I am so done with her. I have pointed out I do not want her at my wedding as she is all about the drama and I'd rather have fun. Any advice on on how to handle this. And some comments say, comment one says, rather than call and yell at your future sister-in-law, I would put her on a severe information diet. Definitely don't give her any details about your wedding. Your life is no longer any of her business. She should consider herself lucky to get an invitation. And to be honest, that's totally up to you if you and your partner want to invite her. Personally, I wouldn't invite someone to my wedding who took advantage of me, ignored my work for them, and snubbed me with a family photo crop. You don't have to say anything to your future mother-in-law. You're allowed to hold your boundaries without explanation. She might not love that her daughter is not involved with your wedding, but she also might understand. You get to decide whom you involve in your day and how. OP says, SO and I already talked about low contact with both future brother-in-law and sister-in-law. For other reasons, before this happened, we are in a bit of a hard spot because future brother-in-law is the best man, cultural reasons. I know SO doesn't want to cause war with the only family he has stateside, but he also wants me to be happy and welcomed. Save the dates have been sent, and I am really considering forgetting to send the invite. But Indian culture is so different, I am an outsider. But there are a lot more comments. Do you have any thoughts before we get into those comments?
I think regardless of if it's like the right or deserved or not, I think probably play politics here until, just to like placate the extended family.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to like have the whole, again, it does, you're not in the wrong. Of course she's in the wrong, but it's like, how often are you actually going to have to deal with this person outside of this context? It's like,
well, yeah, and if it is a lot, then maybe it's like post-wedding, because you're saying there are a lot of cultural reasons that you have to invite her for. Then maybe post-wedding, that's when we are like, okay, you already wanted to limit contact, so maybe that's when we start.
Right.
Push back.
It's a timing issue at this point. It's like just doing
Gotta
it in a
hold
way
out.
that doesn't turn maybe all of these people like against you in some way.
OP then adds, right now, sister-in-law and brother-in-law are at mother-in-law's house, and the gold frame photo of me, not cut out, is next to theirs. So husband is waiting to hear how that went because his mother truly does not like sister-in-law. I am still very upset with mother-in-law, and that is truly because she has allowed old beliefs to run her life. The family has made husband the scapegoat for years, and because I refuse to bend to the demands of others, I am now the problem, according to brother-in-law. Brother-in-law does unfortunately influence mother-in-law. Old tradition states that the eldest son is like the husband to the mother if the father is no longer in the picture. The 36-year-old second-year residency in emergency medicine wanted to let his vid-sick wife into the same home that his elderly mother, who's diabetic and sibling, was staying at. Yeah, I had no issue telling him he was out of line and needed to go to his place. I was the only one who had it in her right mind to say, no, you can't bring someone with the vid into your mom's home. Clearly, you're a bad doctor. So because of that, I'm a problem. Mother-in-law just refuses to apologize for threatening husband in my wedding day, and I won't let them get away with brushing it under the rug. I'm almost 30, and I've had enough BS that if you're unkind, I'll just cut you off. Husband agrees and is aware I posted on Reddit. OP continues, I was already not going to have her in my wedding party. I have several friends who have been through heck and back with me, and I have 3 other sister-in-laws in my family who would outrank her. Yeah, don't have the sucky one in your bridal party.
I think the whole point is that it's like kind of being forced upon, foisted upon her.
I told my SO and he agrees, but also knows he has to be careful to not cause too many waves. He is the youngest, and we both decided we might not follow all traditions when it comes to our wedding. Update. Thank you all for commenting. So here's the current update. We took down the photo while staying at mother-in-law's because it was causing so much drama, and future husband knew that seeing the photo hurt me. So we asked mother-in-law if we could have it put out of sight for the duration of our visit, and she agreed. Future husband and I are heading back home soon, hopefully due to weather, and mother-in-law was very upset she would have to see the photo again because brother-in-law and sister-in-law are now suddenly wanting to visit to check on the house. Insert eye roll. Yeah, I found out they're trying to make claim to mother-in-law's home by also saying they take care of dear mom, so we should get the house. Total BS. What?
That's just insane.
They're like, yeah, we're coming over because we want your house. I know you're alive, but we want your house.
There's just no context to that. Like, or it's like, imagine applying that to like a business context.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I've done a lot of work for the company, so I think I'll be CEO. And it's just like,
I want the business. It's mine now.
I mean, we appreciate what you've done, but that seems like maybe a bit of a jump.
This, of course, unsettled mother-in-law because they are acting like she's gonna pass away this year. Yeah, the 65-year-old woman who manages 6 properties and pre the vid traveled to India on her own every year. Yeah, sure, she's unable to take care of herself. Today, mother-in-law made an offhand comment. I don't want to see that photo, but I must put it back because they're coming. Yeah, I was ready to make a move. Ordered the photo sister-in-law cut me out of and a bunch of other photos from future husband and my engagement and engagement photos used in the announcement. Made sure I had the one photo printed out in the largest print I could get tonight. Went to the store, got frames in gold, hers were in black. Came home, put the frames together, and even let mother-in-law choose some of the photos to put in. Got 3 frames, 1 large, 1 medium, and a mixed small frame, all in gold. Put the photo she cut me out of next to sister-in-law's and had mother-in-law choose where the other frames should go. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother-in-law was so pleased. I think I gained more favor as she put the photos near the TV and fireplace. At this moment, future husband is happy and I am too. I'll update when this progresses, but wanted to let you all know before we head back to our 2,000-mile home way.
Away home.
I will update as this progresses, but wanted to let you all know before we head back home. Update 2!
I think all of this comes down to, like, you know, there's a lot of nitty-gritty, little political intrigues going on here. Me personally, I don't have the energy for any of that. I just will stop caring. That's just me, though. I'm not saying that that's what you should do. Like, if I'm like, all right, and now the ungrateful sister-in-law cut me out of the photo. Okay, I don't care.
Yeah, distance. Just
ungrateful
distance.
sister-in-law is
Yeah.
ungrateful. I don't care. I'm not
Seems
gonna
like
let
your
it really
mom likes
impact
you
me.
guys.
Right. That's the only one that really matters.
Yeah.
Does mom like me? Does dad like me? Whatever.
And there we
Like,
go. Check, check.
Boom. So kill him with kindness.
Update 2. So this is an update regarding the actions of my fiance's sister-in-law who has literally cut me out of a group photo. I was not only her bridesmaid, but her wedding planner. So wow, these 2 months have been busy. My lovely fiance has started a new job that we are both so happy and excited about. And we both realize we can be debt-free and afford the things we really want for our big day, as well as help out some of our wedding party who might need a little assistance. It is important to note that we've chosen not to inform sister-in-law and brother-in-law, as brother-in-law is notorious for asking for a loan and never paying back, or having mother-in-law pay his debts to my fiance. I have the shiny backbone to say no, and thankfully my fiance found his and has been echoing the same. Brother-in-law is becoming a doctor and will be in his 3rd year of residency by the time our wedding occurs. Needless to say, fiance was asked by brother-in-law via mother-in-law to see if he can borrow one of our cars. He told mother-in-law no, and even said he would check with me as we are already going to be having a lot of my family coming in. I agreed with the no by pointing out that they can afford to rent a car, especially after we rented a large SUV for their wedding when we could have gotten a smaller car. I also pointed out that one of my brothers is financially tight, being a single income with kids, and his wife being permanently disabled. We both agreed he needs one of our cars more than his brother, who is a bloody doctor and has no problem flaunting their purchases on the Insta.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I'm like, you guys can afford it.
Especially, but regardless of if they can even afford it, like, I think it's just the principle of, like, what happened with the wedding was so inherently, like, ungrateful.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I give you anything?
Exactly.
I did all this stuff for you, and all I got back was nothing.
Nada. Also, my brother has agreed to help get mother-in-law to and from places as a favor to use one of our cars, which is a win for us. So as we all noticed, weddings are expensive, and I managed to build a bit of a business relationship with one of the Indian shops in my area. The owner was willing to cut me a deal if I could get the men's measurements ASAP while he's in India, so we could pay lower labor costs. Fiance sent the group of groomsmen, including his brother, the list of measurements needed. All but his brother got us the measurements within a week. This last weekend was the deadline we gave the groomsmen to get us the measurements, so my contact can get the outfits made on time to come back. Fiance gets a call from his brother. Now this is what I know of the conversation. Keep in mind, his brother should be lucky I was not near when this happened. Fiance, hey, did you get your measurements? Brother, no, I've been kicking the can because UNOP upset dad. Fiance, what are you talking about? When did we do that? Brother, I just know dad has been crying and upset because of what OP said and said something about having to pay half the wedding. Do you know anything about that? Fiance, what are you talking about? We never talked about the wedding to dad. Brother, well, any woman who offends my family, no matter who she is, isn't welcomed. I hope you choose better. My fiance was so bothered, he called me right away and told me I lost it. How dare they give him an ultimatum? My mother heard me and told my fiance to come over and we could go over the conversation. He said he needed to pick up some groceries but should be over within the hour. In the process, his mother called and asked if he talked to brother-in-law. And he said yes, but was very bothered by the call and would call back. Once my fiance came over, I was still mad and upset. After we talked, my fiance was so done with the drama of his brother, and he was not happy with the any woman comment. He called up his mom and told her that due to the drama and with what he has on his plate alone, he had to remove brother-in-law from the lineup and as best man. He is still invited to the wedding, but isn't allowed to be in the wedding party.
Yeah, if you tell me I shouldn't marry my wife, you're not gonna be my best man.
Nope. Why would I want you next to me while I'm marrying the person you don't like?
I'm gonna put you in the back and make you the worst man.
Worst man of the wedding. His mother at this point agrees and proceeds to call his brother and tell him, at which brother-in-law kept asking if this was my fiance's decision only, and I had no influence on this. My fiance pointed out to him that as his wife, of course I will always influence him, but it's still his decision, and he will always choose to protect me, and it was his choice to remove brother-in-law from the wedding. His brother sounded fine. We went about our day as we had other things to do. In the process, I remembered recording the conversation we had with his dad as we'd been trying to solve what was said to upset him. We listened to that call and nothing was said other than we are not responsible for other people's choices, nor are they responsible for ours. We did this calmly, and honestly, I was impressed with myself for keeping my temper down. So we kept this in our back pocket. That night, fiance and mother-in-law talked, and she does this whole 180 about how dare he not involve his brother, and even threatens to not come. She and I share some words about how dare she manipulate her youngest, because her eldest is being a brat like his wife, and she should respect the fact we want no drama. He and her have these on and off phone calls and ended up making her promise, no matter what, that she'll come and let us handle this. The next day, his father calls. We really didn't want to take this call, as we both know his father loves to manipulate fiance, as we both witnessed it from the recording. So fiance puts it on speaker so I and my mother can hear. Hey dad, what was brother-in-law talking about that you were upset over? Dad, oh, pause. My son, I'm upset because you and OP are getting a prenup agreement and she'll take your money away when you make more money. I about blew up, and my mom signaled to me to be quiet and listen. Fiance, where are you hearing that? There is no prenup. Dad, she'll take you to the cleaners. She'll take more than half your income, make you broke. You'll lose your income, your life, everything.
Learn from me, son. Don't do this.
It was clear they have no idea what a prenup is and are clearly speaking out of line. Fiance, Dad, there's no prenup. There's never been one drafted, and whoever you got this from is wrong. Tell brother-in-law he needs to check his facts before spreading rumors about me and OP. I'm done with this conversation. Ended call.
Boom.
At this point, we confirmed we were being gaslit and manipulated. We both agreed it's us against the world, and as many would say, F 'em. That night, fiance and mother-in-law talked, and she does this whole 180 again about how dare he not involve his brother, and even threatens to not come, and even dares us to postpone the wedding. I was shattered, as I had this experience before and ended up being left at the altar because my ex chose his mother. Oof.
Dang.
My fiance was livid and told his mom, I am marrying OP on our wedding date, and if you do not support us, that's fine. We'll get married without you there. Which I'm glad he stood up to his mom, but my heart was broken. They did this whole phone on and off thing for a few hours. We figured she'd call fiance, then brother-in-law, then fiance. She plays peacekeeper instead of peacemaker, but doesn't let sleeping dogs lie. But I would never lie to you, because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
I dare you.
I dare you.
I double dog dare you.
And there's a little bit left to this story. But do you have any final thoughts?
Dude, like, Ray's, I get like, this is a cultural issue, it seems like, partially, that it's like, it has to be and happen a certain way. And it's like, family politics and cultural expectations and all that. And I say, okay, no. Like, if
at this point, it seems like you guys are like sick of everyone. So it's like, even trying to acquiesce to all of the cultural stuff, it's like, you don't even You don't even want any of them there.
If I get to a point where I'm forced to choose between the peace of me and my partner
Yeah.
versus like coalescing to like the expectations of others, I'm always going to pick peace.
Peace.
I'm always going to pick peace.
Pick the peace. Choose the peace.
And this was not very peaceful.
No. But let's finish the story off. She wanted to talk to me, and my fiance said no, and that it was not a good idea because she wouldn't like the results. Which was right. I was done playing nice and would have called her by my ex's mother's name. After the phone calls ended, we both agreed it's us against the world, and thank God we have my parents who said, you guys need not listen to any parent once you agreed to be married. We know what you're going through, and just know we love you both and support you. We will make sure you both get down that aisle and get married. My dad, who honestly has been more of a father to my fiance than his dad, told him, you're my son, and no one's gonna get away with hurting you or my daughter. There will be a day of reckoning, and you two only need to worry about your relationship with each other and what flavor of cake you want. I so love my parents, and I'm glad we have them to support us and provide us a safe space. So wedding is still on, and fiance has informed me his mother did apologize, but he pointed out she needed to apologize to me and to let me cool down. It's been a lot, and he has wondered if others have experienced the same. Right now, we've been doing self-care by taking dance lessons.
Nice.
And talking with our pastor as to how to handle this with respect. And folks, that's the end of that story.
I cut off my sister-in-law for being shallow, and now she's playing the victim.
Gotta grow a personality there, sis.
My sister-in-law, Quinn, and I used to have an okay relationship. We got along well and always had something to talk about, but over time, I realized she wasn't really a good friend of mine. By the way, this comes from user Curious Owl. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, when we first became close, she seemed impressed by my accomplishments, like finishing school, buying a house and a car, etc. But whenever I talked about things I was passionate about, she seemed disinterested. She'd redirect the conversation with things like, well, I actually like, or have you heard of this? That had nothing to do with what I had said. I started noticing that the conversations went longer and smoother if I just let her talk. So I did. Most of our long talks were about things such as the following: her Pinterest fantasy life,
Fun.
gossip about people I don't know,
Better.
complaints about her parents,
Lovely.
her reminiscing about her high school days,
Okay.
the classics. As the youngest sibling, I'm used to not needing a lot of attention and being the cheerleader for others. So I leaned into that role for her. She eventually went no contact with her parents, and I became her emotional outlet during this time. I was happy to be there for her, knowing she didn't have that many close friends. Then her next challenge was being home all the time with her new baby.
Yay.
Woo!
You're just an emotional punching bag, OP.
My husband, her younger brother, and I invited her to brunch or dinner when we could, just to give her a break. But those outings faded after her husband got upset about her being gone too long. So we shifted to hanging out at her house. My husband and I were genuinely trying to support her and include her. Still, she often made snarky comments, especially when my husband shared good news. He'd ignore it to preserve their fragile rebuilding relationship, but Quinn tends to see herself as the victim in every situation and gets upset if you don't fully take her side.
Oh no. That's so I can't be around those people.
I'm so fatigued already just thinking about having to placate a person like this.
I am. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
My husband stays neutral in most drama, which also frustrates her. My husband and I knew something was off at home and with her relationship with us. We talked about it a little bit, but I just knew there was more she was holding back. Unfortunately, Quinn and her brother grew up in a very toxic household where you had to stuff your feelings deep down and you only tell people that you're hurt when you're at your boiling point, which sounds very healthy.
I love that. I love it when people do that.
So I knew there was more that she wasn't going to say, but I respected that part of her. If she already felt vulnerable, I didn't want to press her more. Actually, before she had her baby, she kept it a secret from us. We found out on Facebook.
Oh!
I guess she didn't trust us not to tell her parents. And that's when my husband and I went to the baby shower. It just looked like her and her husband were putting on a show, as if they were trying to convey, I'm no contact with my parents and my life is perfect without them. See, the whole point of going no contact is that you kind of stop contacting and thinking about those people.
That's the point. That's how that works.
So putting on a whole show about how you're so fine without them is the opposite of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Eventually, she found a group of mom friends, and I was relieved for her. But even then, she called me multiple times to vent about petty disagreements in that group. Literally stuff like I didn't like an idea someone had. I tried to be polite, like, wow, that's so weird, huh? What did you say? But I don't know these people, and I didn't care about the drama. It felt like I was just playing a part in her script. Right. You're the friend she calls, and you go, yeah, oh my God, you're like so right, friend.
I have a hot take here in a little bit. I will share.
Boy. Our calls became less frequent, but this is also when I started to get fed up. Then on her kid's birthday, we FaceTimed to talk to him and chat a bit. She asked about our new dog, and I mentioned training and the puppy blues, and she randomly threw in a jab. Quote, well, as long as you're not like in-law she fake likes, they can't walk on wet grass. We were silent. She repeated it again, like she needed us to laugh or agree.
Oh, no, I heard you. I heard you.
I was still silent. My husband tried to redirect with something positive about the dog, and she just replied, yeah, that's nice. Then my husband brought up their parents' home renovations. Her expression turned nasty. She started criticizing them and called her mom fat. My husband calmly said, it's been a year since you've spoken to them, and they've respected your request for space. Why are you still bitter? She replied, I'll always be bitter. Sounds like you're going to have a wonderful life full of healing and growth.
So you're like depleting your support system. Why?
Because she's just so exhausting. She can't help herself. She cannot help herself. It turned into a back and forth conversation. I exited with, quote, I'm going back to work. Hope the birthday boy has a fun day, and hung up. Afterwards, she told my husband, oh, I guess she doesn't want to hear the drama. He told her no one really wants those kinds of conversations anymore. Oh, I guess she doesn't want the drama. I don't want the drama. So after they hung up, she texted me about her kitchen remodel, and we had a normal conversation. I thought maybe things were okay. Then on Mother's Day, we FaceTimed again, and I asked about the kitchen updates. She said she'd send pictures, but didn't. So a couple days later, I jokingly asked, where are those pictures? And she said, I thought you were just making conversation. I thought you were just blowing a bunch of hot air. That pissed me off. Excuse me. I don't make fake conversation. If I ask, it's because I care. When she finally sent them, she said she didn't really like the counters because it wasn't what she originally wanted. Her husband told her to pick something cheap and easy and they'd redo it later. But I could tell that was just something to make her feel better. She didn't say she was disappointed, just danced around it. I asked, why would he want to redo it later when counters are expensive? She replied, he just said it to make me feel better. Like, none of it made sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me either. Did she not want to send it to me because she didn't want to share something she wasn't happy about? Did she know that I would see through the BS her husband was telling her and ask about it? It felt like I was trying to connect with her on something real and she just kept deflecting. That BS conversation was the breaking point. I'm asking for clarification and you're sidestepping me again. Just say you're upset and think it's ugly. But something simple like that she couldn't even voice. She was falling for his fake counsel. I know you're good at decorating. You can make it look nice. Like, stand up, girl. A few days later, she invited my husband over for a cookout, but I had already emotionally tapped out. I realized I couldn't keep carrying the relationship. I need friendships that are reciprocal and not built around constant drama or emotional suppression. I texted her late, yes, I needed time to think, and basically said, I was sorry for pretending gossip and drama were conversations I was okay with. I need space to focus on mutual growth-oriented relationships. I've tried bringing up real things, and she often brushes them off. She didn't need to reply. I just needed to be honest. It's been about a month, and I haven't heard from her. I originally felt guilty because she told me that her husband said something like, Quinn, the reason you can't keep friends is because all you do is talk about people. Now, OP is stuck with you. Like, yeah, he was kind of right. But I didn't want to give him ammunition to rub it in her face. She tried listing off all the friends she has. And I asked about them, and she basically admitted that she hasn't talked to any of them recently.
Oh, I wonder why.
This is
I wonder why you haven't talked to any of them recently.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't even remember. It's like, oh, I did talk to them, but they didn't say anything. It was just me talking at them.
Girl.
You know. Even at her baby shower, she invited one of her really good high school friends that Quinn reminisces about at least every other month. I was talking to the friend and she told me I got the invite and I didn't even know Quinn had 3 other kids already. Like, Quinn talks about this girl so often, but she doesn't talk to her. She removed both of us from Find My Friends. My husband saw a bad car accident, and the car involved looked like their car. So he asked if she was home, and she replied coldly, "Why? What do you need?" That's crazy. But I need you to listen to full episodes with stories just like this, and you can find them where?
On OK Storytime.
No, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Apple Podcasts. All you have to do is search
OK Storytime.
Yes, and you can listen to basically
OK Storytime.
That's true. And you can listen to OK Storytime. We have a little bit more story here.
Please, I know your sister-in-law is your sister-in-law, but people go through seasons where it's warm and it's cold, and it sounds like it's about to turn fall, and you need to distance yourself.
Yeah. It's time to go into hibernation like the oaks and the elms. Okay, there's a little bit more story left. A few days later, she called me late at night. I missed it, called back, and never heard anything again.
Uh-oh.
She's posted cryptic stuff on social media like, people say bad things about me, but they don't even know how bad I really am.
I love it when people do that.
Sounds like a cryptic threat. I hate how people who don't like you won't unfriend you on Facebook. That's a weird... I feel like the temperature got turned down on that one. It's all just weird. I don't know where to go from here. Part of me hopes we can reconnect one day, but only if it's a healthier, more mutual relationship. At the same time, I'm exhausted from carrying the emotional weight in our interactions. I don't know if she even wants to grow or if she just wants people who cheer her on while she avoids vulnerability. Should I try again or just let it fade for good? I think you let it fade out. Fade out like the end of a great movie.
A Martin Scorsese's.
It's a good movie with a fade to black.
I don't pay attention to that, dude.
Comment 1. I wouldn't really do anything. I would ignore what she posts online. Be cordial if you see her at family gatherings, but I wouldn't reach out to her unless it's for something necessary or to plan logistics for a family function. You can't control how she responds to you telling her that you needed to step back. OP says, yeah, you're right. I need to just refocus on myself. I feel like I'm waiting for the moment that she shows that she's grown, but I don't think that she will. She's a miserable person, and she more than likely always will be. She's actually said it herself. So it doesn't make sense for me to want an authentic friendship with someone who doesn't know how to do that. The plus side is that there will never be a family gathering because their family is practically broken. That's a crazy... Just to preface that with on the plus side is pretty savage. She's no contact with her parents, and my husband barely talks to her because she doesn't know how to talk nice. I was basically the bridge between her and the rest of their family. And that is the end of that story.
Goodness gracious.
I stood up to my sister-in-law's husband, and it tore the family apart.
Sometimes you stand up, everybody sits down.
I can't sleep because I'm so distraught over this whole situation. My husband and I are currently fighting with my sister-in-law and her husband. I'm 25 female. My husband is 27 male. Sister-in-law is 39 female. Brother-in-law is 42 male. By the way, this comes from Skivkey on the r/2hottakes subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, this all started about 3 months ago. Context, my sister-in-law and her husband leased out a property for an auto shop. Connected to the shop was a house that they weren't going to use. Sister-in-law offered to rent it to us because it was closer to the town where I went to school and where my hubby worked.
Okay.
I was against this idea initially because I don't like the idea of mixing family and finances. I eventually agreed after my husband assured me that it wouldn't be an issue. We moved in shortly after our wedding in September of 2023. Fast forward to 3 months ago. A mysterious wet spot showed up on our living room floor. I texted my sister-in-law's husband to tell him about it and sent him a picture. He told me he would reach out to the landlord about it. A few more weeks went by, and I sent several more texts and pictures of the growing wet spot on the floor. I couldn't see any leaks from the ceiling, dishwasher, fridge, etc. One day I was out getting groceries, hubby was at work, and I got a desperate and angry sounding text from my sister-in-law's husband. He was talking about how the leak was way worse than he thought, and he reprimanded me for not explaining the severity enough, I guess. He then sent an ominous threat saying, "Things are going to be changing around here." I get home and our kitchen is torn apart. He threw everything under the sink all over the floor and left the cabinet doors open. I was livid. Yeah,
Yeah, because
He's
why?
destroying your apartment that might be his apartment?
And it's not, clearly this is all messed up. We needed a contract. We needed terms from the very beginning.
Is he trying to like stage a break-in?
I don't know what he's trying to do. Was he maybe trying to find the leak? He got frustrated and left? Like, what's going on?
The leak's in the living room though. I took a picture of the chaos and sent it to him saying, "Don't worry, we will be moving out. Thanks for this, by the way." I was trying to calm myself down when he walked into the house and said, "You really want to F with me right now?"
What?
I was already crying and shaking, and he started yelling about how the leak could be thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Yeah, doofus. That's why I texted you about it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Then he started talking about everything wrong in his life, and he admitted that they weren't going to renew the lease, so we were going to have to move out anyway.
Okay.
And he didn't want to have to tell me all this way, yada, yada, yada. At the end, he calmed down and apologized for being so intense and snapping at me. I forgave him, thinking that this was just an out-of-character breakdown from a stressed-out dude. My husband was also upset about the situation, but chose not to press the subject anymore and just find a new place to live. I thought it was over after that, but I was very wrong. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, we found a place and decided to move everything ourselves with our friends. We didn't want to ask our in-laws to help because the situation still felt tense. Sister-in-law's husband had been acting a bit distant, but still cordial. There were a few pieces of furniture we wanted to sell, and sister-in-law had said we could leave it there while we sold it. I double-checked with sister-in-law's husband that it was okay that we did that.
Writing.
Yeah.
Things in writing. Everything in writing.
He shrugged and said he couldn't see why it would be a problem. Spoiler, of course it was an effing problem. We sold one item and hubby asked sister-in-law if the person could just go grab it and she could Venmo us so we didn't have to go all the way back out to the old place. She said that was fine. The house was empty besides stuff we didn't want anymore, and there was no access between the house and the shop except a locked door way at the back of the house. In hindsight, I know this is still risky, but I'm from the Midwest and far too trusting.
That good
Those
old Midwestern trust.
Midwesterns. A few days later, someone wanted another piece of furniture. I asked sister-in-law's husband if he could unlock the door so the person could look at the furniture. He asked if I was going to let someone in without physically being there. I responded saying that was my plan, but if he preferred, I could definitely go out there. He responded with an angry text saying, "I don't like being forced and volunteered to do things while I'm working," and "I don't need people lurking around my business that I don't know." My stomach dropped, but I just responded, "Okay, I'm sorry. I'll go out there to meet him."
No issues whatsoever.
This has become a non-issue.
Just, hey, we had a conversation. You said don't do this. I said, okay, I'll do it the other way.
Yeah, right?
How is this guy going to make this an issue?
When I got there, I tried to open the door I usually go in, but there was a piece of wood blocking it closed. I went to the side door and used the code, but that wouldn't open it either. I texted sister-in-law's husband to ask if he had changed the door code. He never responded. I tried the shop door and the code also didn't work. I knocked with no answer. The buyer was there waiting while all of this was happening. I called my hubby to ask him to come down and try to figure it out. He tried the code on the back of the shop and a door finally opened. I went to the door that connected the two buildings to get into my old house while my husband went to meet me at the front door. Then my sister-in-law's husband appeared.
Like a wild Pokemon in tall grass.
Like he'd been just waiting, watching them, like, when will you get the door?
Was he inside the whole time?
I feel like
What
he
a
was just sitting
psycho.
there waiting for them to try every possible door. Oh yeah, here we go. He had been in the shop the whole time. He started yelling at me that I should have communicated with him. I responded that I had texted, and he yelled that he was working and busy. He tried to keep yelling, but I just got into the house to let my husband in. We just gave the buyer the desk since he had to wait so long. This time, my husband defended me to his sister and said he wouldn't tolerate her husband yelling at me anymore. A fight ensued, and I started a group chat for the four of us, asking if we could all sit down and talk about this, because things were getting out of hand.
Way out of hand.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Just don't let the brother-in-law be the point man for any of this.
Everybody else was okay with this happening.
He is the only guy consistently losing his cool.
Yeah. Sister-in-law suggested we wait a few days for things to settle. Yesterday, we went with my husband's parents to pack up a few pieces of furniture that were left. They said they would keep it until we sold it off. I was going to say, get the rest of your stuff out of there.
Yeah.
So When we got there, the rest of our stuff had been put outside. I chose to take the high road and not say anything about that. I texted sister-in-law to see what our nieces wanted for their birthday. She seemed fine and told me what the girls liked and wanted. I bought the presents and wrapped them. I asked my husband when I got home from work today when we should drop off the presents. He told me that he had called his mom earlier and she was at the girls' birthday party.
What?
Sister-in-law hadn't invited us or her other brother and nephews for any of it. I know my husband is hurting inside. He has been to every single one of their birthdays. He's trying to put on a brave face, but if I'm distraught over not seeing our nieces, then I can't even imagine how he's feeling.
Yeah, this is just messed up at this point. I have a theory on, I feel like it's because the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law are like a decade older.
Yeah.
And maybe like they're clearly whatever, they're not renewing the lease for the spot that they have their business. So maybe that's not going very well. And then they're seeing OP and her husband and maybe they're thriving a little bit. And I bet you this is coming from that more than anything. That's my suspicion.
I'm kind of wondering if she just feels like, oh, well, I'm going to support him because he's my husband kind of thing. And he's kind of the ringmaster of this all.
Yeah.
From what you said, though.
Which sounds like he shouldn't be because he has no composure.
Yeah. What do? I know standing up for myself was the right thing to do, but I can't help but feel like I contributed to my husband and sister-in-law's relationship crumbling. Please help. By the way, you can help yourself by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. Well, we do have another update. But how you feeling now?
Oh boy.
Oh.
I don't think you need to feel responsible for this because you can't be responsible for how, the sister-in-law and the brother-in-law conduct themselves. Like,
yeah. That's their own relationship. Yours is clearly doing good.
Yeah.
Then missing out on the nieces is a bummer, but that's like their parents need to get over that.
Right. It has nothing to do with you guys. It's their decision.
Yeah.
And it's based on stuff that's really not your fault. So
maybe you could take them out for like their own special birthday thing, give them their little gift, but
yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Edit to clear a few things up. The landlord was not upset about the leak incident. He sent a guy out after brother-in-law explained the severity of the issue. Turns out the dishwasher was leaking under the subflooring in the kitchen and creating the wet spot on the carpet. He apologized for not taking it seriously at the time and offered to get the carpets cleaned for us. But I had wanted to shampoo her for a while, so I just cleaned it up myself. 2, yes, I was wrong for assuming it would be fine if I wasn't there for the furniture thing. I'm definitely not claiming that was a smart move. It was a very dumb, lazy move, in fact, which is why I was willing to eat the angry text. I immediately apologized and got in my car to meet the buyer instead. I also apologized to the buyer for not coordinating well enough when I couldn't get into the house. I told him that I understood if he wanted to leave, but he was very cool about it all and stuck around. I gave him the dresser for free for his troubles. We have some comments. Comment 1, I don't know if I have any great advice for what you should do, but what you shouldn't do is contact your sister-in-law's husband ever again or allow yourself to be alone with him. He seems dangerous and unhinged, and I cannot imagine how he's treating your sister-in-law and nieces behind closed doors, if this is how he's conducting himself with you. This is not your fault, and they're handling the bad situation poorly, and your sister-in-law is allowing her husband to call the shots and affect the relationship with her brother and you. I'm sorry your husband is devastated, but I'm sure he's not blaming you, unless he's irrational too. And the only blameworthy party here is your sister-in-law's husband and anyone enabling this erratic behavior. Hope time and distance ultimately helps things improve, and hope your sister-in-law safely gets out of the relationship with this angry, unpredictable person. OP responds, yep, I told my husband I never want to be around him alone again. What is tripping me up is that brother-in-law and I have had really good conversations. He's always seemed like a genuinely good guy before this. They got married around the same time my husband and I did. 2 of the girls are not his. The youngest one just turned 2. The girls love him, and I've seen him be a wonderful dad to them. They are under a lot of stress, and I wonder if I'm just the easy target. He has complained to me before that sister-in-law makes decisions without talking to him. We've had lots of talks about joining in on the family and the weird quirks they have. I can imagine he can't take it out on his wife or his wife's brother or the girls or his in-laws, so maybe he's just taking it out on me. My husband isn't mad at me at all. He is furious with his sister and super mad at brother-in-law. He's also upset with his parents because they are staying neutral on the matter, which I get. And then commenter replies, I just want to point out there is no neutral here. Either they condone the behavior from brother-in-law or they don't. Silence and not expressing disappointment is condoning it. That's the end of that story.
I prohibited my sister-in-law from coming over because she always causes trouble.
Here comes trouble.
So some background. My girlfriend, I'm proposing next month, and I currently have an apartment in a very nice neighborhood. We are fortunate enough to also have access to the clubhouse pool, which we frequently go to cool off after we've been working all day. By the way, this comes from Traditional Girl 6100. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So a bit on my girlfriend's sister. She is a little wild and is known for excessive public drinking and causing scenes wherever she goes. Anyway, to the story now. Last Monday, my girlfriend got home from work and said that her sister wanted to go to the pool while she was at work. Her sister doesn't really work, only 1 to 2 days a week, and still lives at home. Their conversation looked like this. Girlfriend, how are you going to get into the pool without a car to get there and without your key card? Girlfriend's sister, I'll just Uber and I can look around our parents' house for that spare key you gave them. Girlfriend, I think they lost it, but you can try. Now, it was a short conversation, but a few things. Number 1, her sister is a known klepto who steals and pawns stuff in order to go to bars. It's happened multiple times at her parents' house where she has stolen things to make money. And 2, she does not have a car because she has crashed 5 and cannot have a license for another few years. Wow, that's a lot of times crashing cars. And 3, she has only been in our apartment when either my girlfriend is there or we both are, for reason number 1, and has invited random people over while we were there without us knowing. For the reasons above, I expressed to my girlfriend that I don't think we should allow her into our apartment alone without one of us present. As well as we could get in trouble with the HOA or complex if she were to get into it with anyone or anything, which could cause issues for us down the road. Along with this, I also said we needed to have a conversation with her parents to let them know to either find the key and give it back to us or hide it in a spot her sister would never look. My girlfriend kind of shrugged it off and said that it's not a big deal and she can go to the pool. It's not like anything would happen and wouldn't get in trouble if anything were to happen. I feel like if I keep pushing, it may cause issues between me and my future sister-in-law, but selfishly, I don't want her around our stuff, but can't help feeling like an a-hole. Am I in the wrong? And there is an edit.
Well, is the question, am I wrong for not wanting the known thief to be hanging out around my stuff and have access to it? Nope. Not wrong about that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so at all. She has a literal record of all of this stuff, and the sister knows that, and the sister is like, yeah, like, you're not gonna be getting this information from anyone else but the sister, so she's gotta know that all this stuff is true. So it's like, maybe talk to your sister and be like, well, Kim, how do you really feel about this? Because knowing the same information that you do, I can't help but to fear her being around my things unattended. You know what I mean? So maybe you can get some perspective, but definitely not the a-hole. But there is an edit. I feel I gotta say this because I did paint her in a bad light unintentionally. My girlfriend is nothing like her sister, and that's why I love her. She is hardworking, smart, and genuinely a one-of-a-kind person. As for her family, excluding her sister, they are all hardworking, genuine people, so not sure exactly what happened in the 3-year age difference between the two. For the most part, we are on the same page about her sister. They have had a rocky relationship with her, and she wants to believe she's changing for the better. But I think it's getting harder and harder for my girlfriend to think that. She cut all contact with her at the beginning of the year, which was a whole thing, but now she's wanting to be the bigger person and try to fix what she can. The consensus from the comments is not the a-hole. Comment number 1 says, dude, this sounds like a nightmare. Not the a-hole. Set boundaries. If the girlfriend can't support and respect them, as well as understand the financial liability her sister causes, do not propose. Explain where you are coming from. Explain this is a hard boundary, and if she cannot respect it and you, then you need to think about the future. Opie says, let me preface, my girlfriend is usually on my side when it comes to her sister. They've had their own issues. It's just this one small thing that we don't see eye to eye on. We are still talking through it all. And overall, I think we both think the same regarding this. It's just different to my girlfriend because that's her big sister who's her family. Family is very important to her as a side note. Commenter number 2, family or not, big sister who acts like a child or not, liability is liability. You and your girlfriend are on the lease, not the sister. If the sister does something, who is legally and financially responsible? Who will the management company hold responsible? Some rando or the people they have a contract with? Opie says, good point. I texted her and we're going to sit down and talk about it tonight. I will update you all on what happens. Hopefully I won't have to return the ring, lol.
This is 3 now. They're behind on that. Are you sure you want to marry into this family? This is some serious baggage. OP says her sister's literally the outlier. My girlfriend and her parents are all hardworking, normal people, so it's strange when I think about it. But I have almost popped the question before, but didn't because of family. But I actually get along with her parents and extended family very well. It's just her sister, which I'm not sure what to think of.
How are you going to let one sibling spoil your whole relationship? Like,
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, I think these people, like, because OP's not the one thinking, like, I need out of this relationship. It's all these commenters that are like, you can't even marry this, your girlfriend.
don't marry
her.
Her sister's a thief.
Yeah, it's
like, what?
No. No.
Dude, that's the sister's fault. Why are we breaking up?
Yeah.
God dang. I mean, like, if it was a whole family of criminals, it's like, all right, that's maybe a different conversation.
Sure. OP is literally just disagreeing over this one thing, and it's just like, how do I talk to my girlfriend about this? And I feel like if she understands like these other stuff, I'm kind of surprised that she is okay with this. But maybe ask her about that. Maybe ask why she's okay when she's not okay with all this other stuff. Conversation, people. But there are still a few more comments. Commenter number 4 says, as someone who worked in property management for both apartments and an HOA, I hated when families would show up to use the facilities without the actual resident and then get butthurt when asked to leave. If a resident gave their keys to a non-resident and were not present when using the facilities, it would mean that they would lose their privileges. They had one warning. Second was never again.
Boo, you're describing being a narc. Boo, what you're describing is also bad and I don't like it. Boo.
My boss trespassed a teenage boy and his friends for coming without parents. Rules are rules.
Boo.
Yeah, that's lame.
You deserve to be booed for this, commenter.
She is your guest. You are taking responsibility for her. You are responsible for what she does. You could lose your privileges. And I bet if you read your lease and HOA rules, it will have something stated in there about the use of facilities, which may cause you to be evicted. OP says this is great insight into it. Thank you.
What a respectful reply. Also, I think the founding fathers would start another revolutionary war if they came back to this time and learned about HOAs. They would go to war against every HOA in the country.
It's pretty wild.
Immediately, and then also other stuff.
Commenter number 5, this might be the last one. OP, you can ask your management to reissue you new key cards due to losing one. Ask them to deactivate the old ones. I had to do this with an old key fob I lost for my community's pool. Also, bigger person doesn't mean giving in. She was already no contact. Being the bigger person is giving her another chance with the exceptions that boundaries are established and respected. That second part is important for rebuilding trust. OP says the issue with the first part is that a new key card is something crazy like $250, which won't unalive me, but just seems outrageous. My girlfriend is about to get home from work, so we're about to talk, but I will make an update post tomorrow, letting you all know how it goes. Kind of nervous, but also excited in a weird way. I just think depending on how this conversation goes, tells me what I'll be doing next month. And guess what? We do have that update. So last night, my girlfriend got home from work and we had a conversation about the whole ordeal. I started off with how many of you suggested, and I brought up a copy of our lease agreement as well as HOA and clubhouse rules. In both, it clearly states that any guests who use the facilities provided must be accompanied by the owners of the lease. Failure to do this may lead to immediate eviction or financial liability.
Oh my God, that's the hottest thing ever, OP. You just quoted back the HOA agreement. Look, and to be clear, I don't support her. Like, I don't like the sister in this story, but in general, let your friend use your pool. Don't get over it. Come on.
Yeah. I know. I really think that the HOA rules are just coming in to like just try to get anything to get this girl out of here and not let her stay. After pointing this out, my girlfriend said that she understood that part and she has been thinking about how she acted during this whole thing as well. She went on to explain that for once, she just wanted to treat her sister as her big sister and not a kid that constantly needed watching. Well, I guess after giving her examples of ways that this could backfire on us and the sisters already thin trust with us, she agreed with me and we decided it would be best to do the following. We can try and find the spare key from her parents' house and retrieve it. My girlfriend is going today to do this. We can contact our landlords and have our locks changed. This works out because our front door locks are starting to stick. We can set clear boundaries with the sister. This includes not being here unless one of us is present, no invitation to random people to come over, and if that is done, she has to leave, and if anything is not followed, then contact will be cut. My girlfriend already sent her a text message about this, and I told her that I can be the bad guy if she would like me to. Her mom actually called me today and said that what I did was a very adult way to go about it, and she appreciates me also standing up for my girlfriend to her sister. And I would appreciate it if you went to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search Showcase Storytime, because you're going to find full episodes with more stories just like this one. I'd appreciate it so much. Go do it. Go.
Do that.
There is a little bit more to the story, but okay, we're getting some agreement here. We've got the mom to back them up. That's great. It's always a relief when OP is like not told that they're crazy by everyone else in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always a relief.
You did have all those commenters being like, don't marry your girlfriend.
Don't marry her. Yeah,
But
that's just the internet, man.
I'm just really hung up now on this. I hate HOAs. And
Yeah.
I'm annoyed that quoting the HOA rule about using the pool is what got your wife to be like, okay, I was thinking about how I talk. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's more like she's going to steal all of our stuff.
right.
Because your sister's kind of got problems that need addressing. If anything, setting her up and catching her stealing from you so that she can have consequences for it might be the best thing you can actually do for her.
Yeah.
She needs consequences. That's why she won't stop. It's because she constantly gets away with it.
Yeah. But there's a little bit more to the story.
Let's go.
The biggest thing that I also think helped was putting this in future perspective with my girlfriend. I laid out a scenario of when we hopefully have a house one day and kids as well. Would we let someone who has a known booze problem as well as issues with stealing and safety watch our children alone? She started to cry and said no. I explained to her that that's why we need hard boundaries now so that they are not crossed in the future when we have bigger responsibility. Relevant comments. Commenter number 1 says, not the a-hole, I think you're doing the right thing by setting clear boundaries early on. But I can see how it might feel overwhelming to handle such a sensitive situation with family dynamics involved. What if there's a way to involve a neutral third party to mediate without making things more complicated? OP says, if it gets to that point where I need a neutral third party, I will consider it. As of now, it seems like what I did has worked, but who knows? I might be posting again next month. Thankfully, even her parents are silently on my side as well. That will maybe count for something. And now we have a commenter that was downvoted. Maybe my family is different, but you don't need to ask to come over. It's auto. This is my house and my family's house. They can walk in and do whatever they want with whoever they want. But clearly, we come from 2 different cultures, so if your girl is okay with it, then by all means. But my man, no, my family is showing whenever they want with whoever they want. Okay? OP says it may be a cultural difference, which is okay. I just don't think it's very appropriate to have a family member bring a random over without informing you first. But I guess I could be the weird one. That also goes for my side of the family as well. Commenter number 2 says, you handled it super well. Laying out the rules and talking it through calmly was the right move. Just stick to your plan. Her sister tries to push it again, because keeping those boundaries firm will save a lot of future drama. OP says, that's the name of the game right now. Just keeping the boundaries in place and followed. We'll have one more commenter. Comment number 3 says, just here to say, I'm proud of you. You did the right thing and thank you for supporting your girlfriend. OP says, I feel like that's part of why I'm here, you know? She has a hard time standing up for herself, and I've seen big improvements by her in this. Anytime something happens to her, we always talk it out and maybe different ways to handle it. And that is the end of that story.
My in-laws controlled my wedding. Now karma came back for them.
Uh-oh, karma's gonna get you.
My husband, John, 40 male, and I, 35 female, are from Europe. Not from the touristy western part, but from a poor non-EU country. And now we live in an EU country. This will be relevant later. By the way, this comes from Drawing Boundaries 007 on the r/Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit any stories, go to r/Showcase Storytime subreddit. So, when we got engaged 10+ years ago and started planning our wedding, we both wanted a very simple, small wedding with our close family and friends. There are many traditions in our culture related to weddings that do not really make sense, especially in today's age. One such tradition is that the parents both pay for their children's wedding, 50-50, so they generally have a say in the weddings. And our parents, initiated by my mother-in-law, decided that we should have a big wedding in order to avoid offending distant family members and friends. Since John and I could not have the intimate wedding we wanted, we did not pay for anything. We let most of the decisions be made by our parents because we just wanted to get married and we didn't want to fight with our parents. My dress and the church where we would get married were the only things I insisted on. From the very beginning, my mother-in-law and my husband's younger sister, 17 at the time, tried to force their ideas and style on me and my family. The first issue was with the dress. It's a tradition that the groom's family pays for the bridal gown and the bride's family pays for the groom's tux. I already had a dress in mind that I loved and wanted to wear at my wedding, but mother-in-law and sister-in-law made rude comments about it and tried to convince me to try on and buy a different one that was more to their taste. Very puffy, fluffy, and full of sparkling embellishments, which is not my style. At my mother's encouragement, she was in the same position when she was getting married, and she caved into her sister-in-law, which she later deeply regretted. I politely told them that my decision was final, and my parents offered to pay for my dress, but my mother-in-law declined, saying, "It is tradition!" Finally, they seemed to make their peace with it, but they were very unhappy about the fact that I didn't cave into them. Also, due to tradition, my sister-in-law was my maid of honor, and my brother became John's best man. It is usual that the bride who picks the color scheme of the wedding, so my sister-in-law asked me about the color of the dress she would be wearing. I told her to go with whatever color she felt comfortable in, except for white and bright shades of pink, which I generally don't like. 1 week before the wedding, my sister-in-law came to me in a fake apologetic tone and told me that she bought a dress that looked beautiful on her, but unfortunately, it was bright pink. I was like, okay, not that I could do anything about it now, so I let it go. I almost admitted that I had already expected some petty move from them, so I was a surprise, and I knew that bright pink would stick out like a sore thumb at our wedding, and it would not look good on her, so I was like, if you want to look hideous, who am I to stop you? The second issue was with the church. My husband was baptized Catholic, and I'm from a Protestant family. My husband did not practice his religion at the time of our wedding, and since I was practicing Protestant, we had already decided that we would attend a Protestant church after we got married. I regularly attended church in my small town. It is an 800-year-old beautiful small church. Used to be Catholic before the 1500s, where my grandpa served as a pastor. And my parents also had their ceremony there. So because of both sentimental and practical reasons, it was natural that we would also have our ceremony there. By the way, it's also a tradition that the church ceremony is in the bride's church. But my mother-in-law did not really seem to care about this particular tradition, and she insisted that her son was Catholic, so he should have his wedding in a Catholic church, officiated by a Catholic priest. This was a long-standing dispute. Then John suggested that we invite a Catholic priest to my church and tell him Catholic wedding vow so his mother would shut up. That's what we did. But of course, my mother-in-law was not satisfied with that and was furious we played her. Third issue was with my brother. My, at the time, 17-year-old sister-in-law had a huge crush on my 22-year-old brother, best man. My brother did not like my sister-in-law because he thought she was a spoiled brat and would never have dated her, also due to her age, of course. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law thought that our wedding would pose a great opportunity to fix up sister-in-law with my brother. Bear in mind that my sister-in-law actually had a boyfriend at the time, and we invited him to our wedding, but surprise, surprise, she dumped him right before the wedding. They didn't know that my brother had a girlfriend, now his wife, and best sister-in-law, by the way, whom he was talking to at the wedding. My mother-in-law was livid when she learned that my brother had a date for the wedding and insisted that I disinvite his girlfriend because it was his job to entertain her daughter at the reception. Of course, I didn't do that. And John also thought it was a ridiculous request. So mother-in-law and sister-in-law were furious. But we didn't care at this point. There were other issues regarding the venue, decorations, etc. Blah, 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 blah. When it came to the reception venue, I suggested a place that was pretty and very photogenic with a lake view. My parents were on board with it, but guess who wasn't? It was mother-in-law, because she said it was too expensive. Because Ronald Reagan would have put it in the budget. So we tried not to press the issue any further. My mother-in-law chose the venue and said it was hideous. But at that point, I was like, whatever. My parents and I wanted to hire a wedding decorator for the venue and the church. But mother-in-law didn't want that either because, in her opinion, it was a waste of money. My parents did hire a decorator for the church, though, but my mother-in-law only learned about it when she entered the church on the day of. And even though she did not have to pay for any of it, as it was a gift from my parents, she made some snarky comments, of course. However, she booked a 5-star hotel rooms for her guests in the town where the reception was held without consulting with my parents, and later submitted the bill to my parents, insisting that they pay half. My parents didn't want to ruin our honeymoon period, and they genuinely liked John, so they didn't say anything to us and paid her whatever told them to pay. Later, they calculated all the costs and expenses. It turned out my parents paid for approximately 75% of our wedding while they had no say in almost anything.
That's crazier. That's crazier talk. She's talking even crazier than before. How'd she do that?
Wait. Remember the title. I'm like really mad, but I just got happy for a second.
Karma.
Karma's in play here.
Karma's a witch.
My mother-in-law was essentially the one choosing the menu and the drinks, the cake, the music, etc. And she was the one taking all the leftovers home. Food, drinks too. She organized a huge dinner from the leftovers at her house the next day for her friends. And John and I had to help serve the food and do the dishes afterwards for approximately 25 people. Mind you, the wedding reception ended around 5 a.m. on Sunday, and preparations for the dinner started around 11 a.m. the same day. Since the wedding was not what John and I actually dreamed of, we just wanted to get it over with and didn't really enjoy the day. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law looked like blobfish the entire day and night, mainly because my brother didn't give any attention to my sister-in-law. Fast forward 6 years ago. Sister-in-law started planning her wedding. From the very first moment, it was made clear that John would be the best man, but I would not be included in the wedding party. In our culture, it is considered rude to separate married couples, meaning that if one is asked to take part in a wedding, the spouse is to be included one way or another. You know, tradition. I knew this was part of their revenge for not hunting my brother's girlfriend out of our wedding. But joke's on them because I was actually relieved that I didn't have to put up with my sister-in-law's BS leading up to her wedding. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law wanted the wedding to be held in the country where we are from. Let's call country A, Albania, because it was cheaper than the country we are currently living in, and where the groom is from, country B, EU. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law planned the whole thing, and they seized every single opportunity to make it clear to us that it was going to be a special, elegant, and expensive celebration, and not like ours. They booked the venue that I wanted for my wedding, the one with the lake view. They hired 2 different decorators, one for the church and one for the reception venue, because as mother-in-law put it, my sister-in-law deserved that and much more. They reserved the biggest Catholic church in the area for the ceremony. My sister-in-law was Catholic, and it was tradition that the ceremony held in the bride's church. Mind you, my sister-in-law never attended this church, but they told the groom's family she did. Oh, and my mother-in-law paid for my sister-in-law's dress because they didn't want the groom's family to have a say in it. And, of course, they put deposits down for everything. Venue, church, decorations, hotel rooms, photographer, etc. Whatever they had the opportunity, they would rub in the fact that this was going to be an extravagant event with limousines, flower decorations, and white doves, and in our John and my faces. Even though we didn't care for the things mentioned, it was very obvious they said these things to spite us. So John became frustrated and mentioned this to his mother, but she was very arrogant about it and said that my sister-in-law was her only daughter, and mothers always love their daughters more than their sons. So sister-in-law was entitled to everything she wanted for her big day. I was pretty upset, I must admit, because who in their right mind would say something like that to their own son? John was thinking about dropping out entirely, but we both were people pleasers at the time. We were not anymore. And after all, it was family. So we decided to let it go. Turned out we didn't even have to lift a finger for divine justice to prevail. The vid hit. It hit hard. Borders were closed between non-EU and EU countries. And suddenly it became unclear whether my sister-in-law could have her wedding at all. Sister-in-law was understandably devastated for months. But since their wedding was scheduled for the summer, the vid restrictions were lifted somewhat, and it became possible to have their wedding in country A, where all the deposits were already paid. Then it turned out that since EU countries, like country B, had harsher restrictions on large gatherings than country A, the groom's guests were afraid of catching the vid in country A and started canceling. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law went into panic mode. They tried everything they could to convince people to travel to country A, but had no luck. So finally, they decided to move the whole wedding to country B, caving to the demands of groom's families. This meant that they lost every single deposit in country A because the wedding was technically not canceled due to the vid. So they didn't have enough money to pay for a similar event in country B. Oh, and they only had 2 months to make it happen. By the way, you got more than 2 months to listen to crazy stories just like this. We have about 2 months of stories for you. Just go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime on Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and listen to us talk about all these crazy things and shenanigans that are happening. In the end, they were only able to get a small Protestant church ceremony, and during the entire ceremony, the Protestant pastor who was officiated the wedding was telling every rude joke aimed at the bride due to her and mother-in-law's behavior prior to the wedding. That's a whole different story, and they could only find a venue that was not impressive. Actually, it was not that bad, but mother-in-law and sister-in-law were very mad. The whole thing looked cheap, and the groom's family wasn't willing to pay for an actual mansion that was in the same area, but was very expensive. And then the real shocker came. Only half of the invited guests showed up. It turned out that the only ones who were unwilling to go to country A because of the vid didn't actually want to attend the wedding in the first place. They only used the vid as an excuse. So basically ditched the whole thing, and most guests from country A were unable to attend because they didn't have the necessary vid related papers. See, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law relocated the wedding because they were counting on the wedding gifts as reimbursements for all of their costs. But since only half of the guests attended, they didn't receive as much money. So mother-in-law was crying her eyes out because she lost a fortune on an extravagant wedding that never happened. That's how karma worked in our case. I'd be lying if I say John and I didn't enjoy it, and that's the end of the story.
Let's go! Let's go!
And dude, that's gonna get us into the weekend. That is beautiful.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, that's the best story to end on. Dakota, good job. Good job.
My sister-in-law said I shamed her, but I think I was justified.
Shame. Shame.
A couple of years ago, my brother met his now wife, Susan, 33 female, and started bringing her to our events. Our family has a cabin that we use every year for a 1-week family vacation. Normally, it used to be our parents, husband and I and my brother, but for the last 2 years, Susan also joined us. This year, I refuse to go if Susan is present, and my parents want me there, so Susan is not invited anymore. By the way, this comes from JobOK8941, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, on to why I don't want Susan to come with us. The short reply is that she's disgusting. She doesn't have any kind of hygiene, and every vacation with her was a nightmare because she can't act like a normal human being. Some examples of what happened until now. She stinks. Plain and simple. How my brother can tolerate her smelling the way she does is beyond my understanding, but all the rest of us have had a hard time being in her presence. The reason why she stinks is because she is against deodorant. She uses items that don't belong to her without asking and without informing anyone afterwards. Last year, I have left my husband and my husband's towel to dry in the sun after we had our morning showers. Around noon, I wanted to take the towel back to our room and noticed it was soaking wet, which couldn't be possible since it literally stayed in the sun for half a day. When I asked if anyone knows what happened to our towel or why it was wet, Susan said she had a shower and used it. It's a miracle that she showers, but I don't share my towels with anyone except my husband, so it landed right in the bin. She acted offended that I threw it out and said that there's no need to act like she has the plague. I told her that there is also no need to use my towel, and I don't care what she has or not. It's not okay to use things that don't belong to you no matter what. She also doesn't clean the toilet after using it, so all of us found period blood and poo displayed when we needed to use the bathroom. She also doesn't wrap her tampons when throwing them away in the bin. Her reason every time is, I forgot. I have seen her multiple times drinking juice, milk directly from the bottle. She also forgets that we don't want to share saliva with her and that this habit is disgusting. She uses her hands to mix ingredients without washing them before. She was making a salad and mixed everything together in the bowl with her dirty hands. When we talked to my brother about everything, he always made excuses for her. His main justifications are that she has autism and that she grew up poor, so we needed to be understanding of her. I am not. Poverty is not an excuse to stink and be dirty. Poverty and autism are not excuses to not clean the toilet after you use it when you have a brush there for that exact purpose. I guess my brother told her the reasons why she's not invited, and she confronted me, crying that I am shaming her. So I told her if by this age she is incapable of feeling ashamed by her own behavior, there's a very slim chance I or anyone else can ever shame her in that way.
No.
I don't think so. I mean,
No. I think
30s, I think.
I think the excuses that the brother gave are stupid.
Yeah.
Like truly, I think that like I don't think either of those mean that you can be disrespectful in someone else's home.
Yeah.
I think maybe like if it was like the to do with her autism, then it would be like maybe there's a different way to approach how going about it and stuff. But the brother's not doing anything about it. He's not like, yeah, I'll like talk to her about it. He's just like, no, she just has to be that way.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
No.
Yikes, dude. Yeah, I don't think you're the a-hole. I think it's totally fine for you to feel these things and like, I mean, yeah, there's some things where it's like, okay, like maybe we can go about this in a gentle way and like just bring it up to you, but like, you know,
if you brought it up, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I wonder how you brought this up.
yeah,
Like, did you bring it up to her before you said like you're never inviting her over?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was only brought up to the brother, and then the brother just kind of was like, it's not a problem. And then they
Yeah.
didn't really like confront her specifically, but I mean,
So I would say maybe if you could have talked to her
Yeah.
directly and said this is not okay.
yeah, rather than like uninviting her.
Yeah.
I think that, that could
I
go-
do
that's
think
a
you
bit
have a
far.
right to uninvite her. I just think like
Sure, if you want
maybe direct conversation first.
Yeah.
That is the only thing I would say.
But we do have some comments though. Comment number 1 says, not the a-hole. Your brother is for blaming autism for her behavior. One thing I found autistic people are normally very good at is understanding direct instructions like please wash your hands before touching food and please don't use my things without asking. And you have to make the toilet look clean before you leave the room. I can understand that deodorant might be difficult from a sensory perspective, although I've found the cream ones suit me. However, if you don't use it, you need to clean yourself more often so you don't have BO. Comment number 2 says, my grandmother used to always say, soap is cheap. You can at least be clean. Meaning if you didn't have the best clothes or the newest clothes, you could be clean and neat with what you had. Comment number 3 says, throwing a towel away instead of washing it because someone else used it is ridiculous. Presumably your family washes your towels, not just trashes them all and buys new ones every vacation. Hot water and detergent would have been perfectly sufficient to clean that towel, and you know it. That specific action, which you made sure she knew about, you did deliberately do to hurt her because you loathe her. As for the other points about her hygiene, they sound pretty disgusting, and she should certainly know and behave better than that. But you are the a-hole to throw away a towel because someone used it. Petty and mean. Updates. Thank you guys all for your feedback for my last post. After yesterday, I was left with mixed feelings. On one hand, I'm happy that there are still normal people around who value being clean and sanitary. But on the other hand, I was sad to see how many nasty people we have around us. Someone said very well that shame should once again start being a thing because maybe by feeling ashamed, some people will start acting normally again and stop demanding the rest of society to put up with nasty habits. As an adult to go on the internet and claim that a 33-year-old female must be shown and explained basic things like cleaning a toilet seat after getting it dirty is unreal. Just a personal idea, but I will share it here. One may not learn from home everything they need to know or all the social standards, but each and every one of us is responsible to educate ourselves if that education did not come in our early years. Meaning your parents may not have explained to you why it's important to have good hygiene, but as an adult, you have all the means to learn it yourself. Those who say, my parents did not teach me this and this is why I didn't know, are just lazy and ignorant people. If you have a phone and internet access to waste time on writing nonsense on Reddit, you can clearly use those tools to Google it or watch tutorials on how to deal with your period, your sanitary products, or how to clean poop after yourself. That being said, my family and I are leaving tomorrow to go to the cabin. My brother will join us, but Susan will not. He will most likely give us more details the following days, but I guess he is also tired of his wife and her inability to act like a normal human being. It's sad, and he is also to blame for how things turned out for not putting a stop to his wife's nasty habits. But well, for the first time in 2 years, we will enjoy our family vacation and my parents will have both his kids present with no stress, not being disgusted or tired of cleaning after an adult woman. For those who seemed unable to understand why my husband is still invited and my brother's wife is not, the answer is because my husband is not a pig and because my husband did not leave period blood on the toilet seat, making my father storm out of the house to go pee in his own yard because he was too disgusted to use his own bathroom from his own cabin. And I hope you are never too disgusted to listen to more full episodes of stories just like this one. Just go to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or whatever your favorite podcast app is and search OK Storytime. We may talk about poo and pee in some of them, but they're
But
not
it's
all that gross.
disgusting.
They're not all that gross. It's okay, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is a little bit more to the story. I think she was a little harsh with that one.
I don't fully agree with her.
Yeah,
I think that like to say like, oh, if you didn't learn it as a kid, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And there is no grace. I disagree. I think there are tons
Yeah.
of I think everyone has different parents who prioritize different things. And so there's going to be gaps in knowledge for everyone. I think it's like
Yeah.
kind of in a similar vein of like learning about diversity and stuff, and like learning about just like historical things. Like there's going to be gaps in people's knowledge depending on where they're coming from. And so I think
Right,
that
and
there
I mean-
should be leniency
Yeah.
and also just grace and like willingness to have that conversation.
Yeah. And like with history and stuff like that, that's stuff that you learn in school. So
Mhm.
that's like, okay, yeah, if I want to learn more about it, and if I don't know about it, like I guess like, yeah, I should look it up.
And even
But-
then there's gaps in like
Yeah.
different curriculums.
Totally. But then like with social stuff, that's not something you learn online because of those gaps, and because like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, things might be like that here, but then I like something I see online, I will take that advice, and then the people around me think it's still weird, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like that's something that you can't look up, and how would you even know to look it up if you didn't think it was a problem before?
Yeah.
You know? So
On the other hand, if you do have this conversation respectfully, and she says, I don't know how to do it, whatever, I like F you, then yeah, she's the a-hole. Or if you say, yeah, can you do this? And she says, oh, yeah, of course, and never changes,
yeah.
never tries to learn,
Yeah.
on her completely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that she is not at fault for what she's doing
Sure.
and like, the mess that she's creating, but I think that to say that no one should ever be given grace,
Yeah.
just because they're an adult is a little bit unfair.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah, it feels like I mean there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, never mind. There's a little bit more to the story. I hope this clears that absurd question, but if you need more graphic descriptions, I can provide. Also, for those who will start crying in a corner how unfair it is that Susan will be excluded, tough life, bro. Society will exclude you if you are unable to follow basic, decent cues because people don't owe you anything. And no, this does not come from a place of hate as immature people want to believe. It comes from a place of valuing boundaries and comfort. And one last thing. I promise this trip I am not throwing any towel away since this was such a triggering topic for many of you. Keep calm. The towels are safe with me, I swear. And there are some final comments. Comment number 1 says, the whole my parents didn't teach me argument most definitely has its limits. My mom didn't teach me how to fix the fault codes on our boiler because she didn't know how. A random mechanic on YouTube taught me. Then I taught her. My best friend grew up poor with a harmful heavy drinker mom. Cleanliness was never taught in her house. She's also on the spectrum and taught herself how to keep tidy and made sure her brothers kept up with their hygiene. They'd even come use our showers when they had no hot water and the bathroom was spotless after because she'd clean up after them before she even left the bathroom. Sister-in-law has made a choice not to learn or keep up with hygiene and doesn't care if it affects others. And comment number 2 says, I can't imagine their home. Please ask your brother how he deals with his wife being like this. I'm genuinely curious to know how you get to know someone when dating, and then most likely living together before marriage and not see what's going on. OP says, I will. I'm also curious, especially since they are so different. My brother is clean. He never leaves a mess behind. He is aware and respects others. So it's very strange for me to see this pair. And that's the end of that story, dang.
My sister-in-law wants to split the family business 50-50, but I won't do it.
I own 51% of this company.
My husband, 31 male, and I, 27 female, met in 2016 in the Air Force. We were 20 and 24 then, and got married in 2018. We both got out of the military by 2022, but while we were in, we visited his family who were in another state twice a year. I don't have much family as I have a tumultuous upbringing and my mom passed away when I was 19. His family was pretty nice when visiting. They owned a bakery in a small town of about 16,000 people. It's been in the family for 70 years, passed down 2 generations. By the way, this comes from Crazy Doe 13, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, from the minute I got to know them, his sister-in-law talked about us moving back and us taking over the business together. She said I could decorate and she'd do donuts and my husband could bake. That was the plan. She'd worked there on and off most of her life, while her other sister is a nurse and her brother, my husband, went to the military. I loved the idea and always liked baking, and even thought of owning a bakery one day. It seemed perfect. Fast forward to 2021, I had separated from the military and my husband had a year left, and we've got another 30 minutes. He ended up getting a deployment, and in order to save money, he thought it best to move in with his family and rack up all that pay. Seeing as I didn't have anyone in my family to stay with, I thought it's smart, and his family had always been nice. Well, I moved in with the in-laws, and his sister-in-law, who had just had a divorce, lived there also. Things were okay for a while until little tiffs happened here and there. I'd frequently eat out, and I'd leave leftovers in the fridge. Well, for months, my father-in-law would eat my food. I didn't mind, although it was a bit annoying. He'd never asked. But it's their house, so I accepted it. Well, one day he asked me about leftovers, and I told him those were mine, and I was going to eat it later when I got home. My sister-in-law was leaving at the same time, and being sisterly as we walked out, I said, "I bet he eats it when I get back." She laughed and said, "I doubt it," and we parted ways. Later that night when I got home, I was right. Food was gone. I jokingly texted her saying, "Told ya, he ate it." She snapped back, saying if I want food myself, I should get my own fridge and I should be grateful to stay here. It was so bizarre, and little things like that continued. When we talked things out, she'd constantly say things like, "I never have conflict with other women. It's so weird it's only with you." Classic mean girl signs. I brushed it off because she was going through a divorce and being in her mid-30s and back with her parents. I just assumed she was a little down and taken it out on me. It got to the point I just moved out and moved in with his longtime best friend until he got back. After that, things between my sister-in-law and I were fine. Finally, in 2023, with a ton of convincing from my part, he never wanted the family business, but realized the opportunity he had. He discharged from the military and moved to his hometown to do just that. Things were going great at first. We moved in with my in-laws. My sister-in-law had just gone through a divorce, so she happened to be staying there as well. My husband started working nights baking with his dad, and I started working during the day with my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and a long-standing employee. At first, things were good. I was learning basics and getting the hang of the day-to-day with customers making sandwiches, the small tasks. I'm a pretty quick learner, and we were planning to learn for the year, then buy the business, the beginning of the next. We hadn't really talked about percent or money yet. We just knew his dad wanted $10,000 down, and we, sister-in-law, me and husband, were going to buy the business from him. His parents planned on staying on to help a few days a week once we bought it too, to help out. After I pretty much learned the basics, I of course wanted to start learning to decorate. Now, at this time, my mother-in-law did all of the decorating. My sister-in-law came in at 2 a.m. and iced donuts and did the dishes. Our part-time help made subs, cleaned, customers, that sort of stuff. So I didn't think it would be a problem learning to decorate, since that's the job I'll be primarily doing next year. Well, boy, was I wrong. The employee, we'll call her Tara to have a name, wanted to learn to decorate too. So it became where she would go up to decorate and I would be stuck doing the small tasks and not getting to learn. So I talked to my sister-in-law, as I didn't want to overstep, and we came up with a plan. I did certain days and she learned certain days. That was fine in theory, but either the employee wasn't getting the message or my sister-in-law wasn't telling her, because I still wasn't getting to learn. At this point, I became a bit frustrated because we were set to buy the business in 6 months and I hadn't learned a thing. So one day, on my scheduled learning day, I came in and she was up there decorating. I finally said, "It's my day to learn," and my sister-in-law and I came up with these days. Well, my mother-in-law snapped back, "She should be the one to decorate. She's been here longer."
What?
Well,
Dude,
Girl,
how am I
Girl.
supposed to learn?
girl.
You're
Like,
taking my learning day.
as a
Taking my
business,
learning day.
you know how many people know how to work this computer back here?
Yeah.
We have 2 people in the war room, 1 person that knows it basically halfway. And the reason we do that is because if someone isn't here and we need to run the stream, we can. As a
Help do
business
it.
lady, this mother-in-law,
Terrible
do you not like
business.
money? Do you not like just making sure everything's good?
Yeah,
Really?
and then it gets unfair too, because like I've worked somewhere where it was like, oh well, you were really good at this thing, so like you're gonna do this. Not to me necessarily, but to some people. And then it's like, okay, well, Now these people who have never done this
Are
one
never
job
gonna
like
be good at it.
don't know how to do it. Yeah. So
I just walked away and did my job in the back and went home. When I told my husband, he was furious. He went downstairs and yelled at his mom and sister, telling them that they owed me an apology. My mother-in-law did. Never heard from my sister-in-law. After that, my husband thought it best I work in the back, baking with him, and learn to decorate once we owned the business and had the say. We ended up buying a house in July because we just had to get out of that house. And his sister-in-law didn't seem to be moving out soon. We still had to save for the down payment for the bakery, but his sister just went through a divorce and has more debt. So we moved out first. Not even 2 months later, she moved into a little house to rent. She just had to have a place seeing us get a place. She's been insecure since the divorce and had acted very jealous of us getting a house. She moved back in with her parents after 8 months because she was falling behind on payments. Just a clue into her financial habits. She always cared so much about how she looks to outside people, what she has, and compares herself to everyone. Anyway, at this point, I realized the extent of the jobs and icing donuts and dishes didn't seem like something an owner would do. So we decided my sister-in-law could decorate and my husband and I would bake in the back. Sure. So it
sounds
seems
like a great
yeah,
plan that
we're
everyone
figuring it
could
out.
seem to be a part of, right?
Yeah.
right.
She was fine with it, but there was still constant drama. I'd bring up ideas and she'd snap at me and shut them down. Like they ice every donut by hand and wash every dish by hand. I advised we'd get a dishwasher and donut icer to cut payroll costs. And she'd say, if we get a donut icer, customers will know. They'll look terrible. Or, I've already said before years ago, we should have a dishwasher. Nothing new. And one day I snapped, saying she was a mean girl and constantly at my neck. She wanted me here, but has been mean ever since. Even outside of work, someone would compliment my hair, and she'd jump the conversation to herself. Never a moment not about her. My husband and everyone close to her said she's always been like this. She was also very bad with money, not learning to decorate, and talking bad about me to many family members. When we finally got down to discussing money, all heck broke loose. Up until this point, we really didn't have any idea of profits and such, but my husband got some info from his dad. It would result in all of us taking a pay cut. His sister and my husband and I also were at odds with all of the plans we had for the bakery. We all sat down, and she wanted 50 for her and 50 for us. No.
Right? And that includes everyone doing, 50% of the amount of the work and the other people
Yeah.
doing 50% of the work, right?
But we wouldn't be able to survive on one income, and she'd be making double than us for half the work. Yeah, so again, to be clear, she'd be making 50%, and then OP and her husband would be making 50% together as a unit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like
Instead of being
me
like,
versus
let's split it
us,
3
it's like,
ways.
yeah. It's like, no, none of that works.
My husband proposed 60-40 and she would not take it. So we offered to let her own the business 100% and we'd work for her. She said she couldn't do it alone. So we were at a stalemate. They have an uncle in banking, so she said she'd talk to him and see about the 60-40. She came back a couple weeks later and said if we can't agree to 50-50, then we can't do it. But her dad still wanted to retire and sell the business. She said she'd just buy the building, but she couldn't do it for some years. He didn't want to wait. So she agreed to work for us for more money than she was currently making, and in the future, when the business did better, buy into it. So we bought the business in 2024. Just my husband and I. We gave her $17.50 an hour, $2 raise, vacation days, finally got group insurance, and offered her a paid Saturday off a month and 5-day work week instead of 6. She agreed. My husband and I gave ourselves a salary and make $900 after taxes every 2 weeks. For perspective, she makes $1,800 every 2 weeks. Okay, so hopefully it's $900 each. We agreed to take on the burden of upgrading the business, maximizing profits, and then cutting her in eventually while she gets her personal life together. She wanted to buy a house eventually and pay off debts. She's still living with her parents as we speak. So Tara, as soon as we bought the business, she quit, saying she wanted Maggie to own it, so she left. We hired a new employee, Nat, and after a few weeks, she came to me asking if we punted sister-in-law out of the business and spilling all the trash she'd been talking about me. So I admit I said some things back. After months of this and hearing more stuff, I confronted her and she flipped it back on me, saying, "I'm sure you talk crap too." I couldn't deflect that, so I had to just accept both of us apologizing and move forward. I keep hearing more and more, but would bite my tongue. We ended up hiring another employee, Octavia, but didn't hear much from her. They clicked instantly. Well, I fired Nat for performance reasons, and quickly Octavia started coming to me about stuff sister-in-law had been saying. More lying about punting her out of the business, and she does all the work and gets nothing. Mind you, my husband works 12 hours a night, 6 days a week, and I work 6 days, 10 hours a day. She gets paid double and more free time. I do all of the business stuff, payroll, marketing, taxes, insurance, you name it. I also decorate now, and she does sometimes, although she hasn't learned as much as I have due to staffing and us trying to upgrade, so saving as much as possible. We're struggling to make ends meet with our mortgage and bills and low pay. We put so much on our credit card when buying the house because we had everything invested in the business. So we're passing away trying to pay the minimum down with high interest. To make things even tighter, I got a call my 2 young siblings' parental rights were terminated, and we're expecting to adopt them and take them in this year. Wow. I had to get a part-time job to pay off our debt before they come. Again, small town, so I get a job at a local bar bartending. And my new boss, first day, says, "So I heard you punted sister-in-law out of the business." No.
So not how it works.
Okay, also, this is very similar to what happened in my college town.
Yeah.
Where there was like a cafe, and it was like split between 3 people. 2 people weren't really doing the work, but 1 person was. And then the other person had to get a part-time job to kind of make ends meet at a bar.
Yeah.
I might know who this person is. Probably not,
just
but
might.
it just is very similar.
You just might. I just bit my tongue and half explained things as to not talk bad around town about my sister-in-law. I never said anything to her about it, just moved on. Well, we just had a break in July. We take for a week for the 4th. When we got back, Octavia told me sister-in-law came to her and her parents' house for dinner and told them all this crap about us punting her out of the business and how she got the short end of the stick. Octavia was adopted, and I wanted to talk to her parents about adoption, so it really hurt being cut off from that resource now that she badmouthed us. It especially hurt her brother, who's been really struggling working so much and making so little. She gets paid double, does the least work most days off, and will still eventually get ownership in the business, while we spend the time upgrading it. From where I'm sitting, that sounds like a good ride. We confront her about talking trash, and she just deflects and deflects. Hey, girl.
I don't understand people that, dish it out but
Yeah.
can't take it at all. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Yeah.
He's like, "Why are you
right?
talking trash?" And she's like, "Me?
I could
No.
never.
Oh, no.
I could never.
Yeah, it's annoying whenever it's a part of someone's, I think, like, personality. They, like, make fun of people or, like, they just kind of pick and it's whatever. But at a point, it gets too much.
Yeah.
And you pick, dude, I've done this with, like, an uncle or cousin. I pick back. They go right to my mom, and then my mom was like, "Why are these people are talking about you? Why are they talking about you?" And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
My husband is tired of her twisting things when she had the option to buy the business 100%, but couldn't. I even offered to get a different job, and my husband and sister-in-law get 50-50. But my husband wanted me involved and wouldn't do it without. He values my opinions and our plan. Frankly, he's over the drama, the mean girl stuff. He told her to get therapy, but she just doesn't see her fault in any of it. I know I'm missing things, and there's been so much little stuff, it's hard to remember everything. But am I the a-hole in this situation? And there is an update, folks. But what do you think, Angie?
I think no. I think no.
I think no.
No. Right? I mean,
I
because
agree.
she's
No.
like, the mother-in-law is just like,
Yeah, doing
you know what I mean?
nothing.
doing the, like, she'll
Just
she'll
causing
like
problems.
scheme and scam and talk crap and stuff behind backs, but then
Yeah.
when things like actually happen or when you actually need to like confront business expenses and stuff, she's just like, you're talking to me? Huh?
And the sister-in-law, I mean, she wants this 50%, but she can't afford it. It's like, oh, that sucks, but you can't.
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do?
Right.
Pay for everything?
Right. It's like, it's not me kicking you out of the business.
It's you
It's-
not being able to afford it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but I think that, honestly, I mean, I assume that you can't fire her. but it
If
would
she,
be
like,
nice.
owns it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's gonna be so much hate, and it's just gonna press it more if you fire. Is she not a good worker though?
I don't know. I don't think it's that she's not a good worker. I think it's just that she's spreading all these lies around town and being like a terrible person.
Okay, well,
She's
As
not.
long-
I think she's not contributing in the way that OP is. Though. Like OP
Yes.
and her husband are like
Working
sprucing
a
the
lot
place
more.
up and stuff, and she's just kind of like doing the she's not putting as much in.
Update. Hey y'all, quick update. My husband and I both had a conversation with her, and she still deflected. I expressed how she'd been bullying me for 2 years, and since the business, it's only been worse. I told her she has an easy ride, and it's unfair to keep talking trash and benefiting the most. She hasn't apologized for talking or even acknowledge it. She's taken the victim route. Now she's claiming she can just find another career path because she doesn't want to take. And for us to struggle, it would just be better for all of us if she goes. That's basically what she texted me last. My husband was furious. He said, "That's all she said back to you?" Yep. He told me not to respond and that he would handle it. He broke down later in the night saying how he sees himself in her, how he was in the beginning of our relationship. He would always deflect any conflict. He teared up, explaining it's just how we grew up. Although the sister-in-law situation hasn't changed, it's so beautiful seeing my husband be able to break barriers in his personal growth. I myself have a long history of therapy and constantly overcoming bad habits from my upbringing. I can see my sister-in-law having some mental health issues, but she doesn't see it. A little therapy for my sister-in-law would go a long way for all of us, and she's not inherently a bad person. I'd be so easy to just fire her and move on, but she's still family and I care about her well-being. If she could just change, we could make it work for all of us. Anyway, he's at work now with her. He's going to talk with her before he leaves. I'm not sure if he's going to fire her or give her another chance. I think that all depends on how sister-in-law responds to him. He for sure is telling her she needs to apologize, and if she can't change, she has to go. Thank you all for your insight. It's been a breath of fresh air having outside perspectives. All I have around us is his family. So my husband is my rock and has been so supportive through all of this. I'll update more when we get a conclusion. Update 2. Do you have any thoughts before we get into that?
Update 2. I don't know. I just think like it's one of those situations where it's like, well, you can have your whole family against you, or you can do what's right. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Like,
like,
or you
why?
could not have your whole family against you, or you can do what's right. You know what I mean? It's like that's
Yeah, and I think it's like good that OP, or it's understandable that OP is like, I don't want to abandon her because she is family.
right.
But you know, at a certain point, it is just business.
It's just business. It's not personal.
Update 2. My husband asked his dad about the situation, and he basically said, "I'm going to bed." Like I said, avoids conflict. So my husband said he's thinking maybe there's other options other than firing, like reduction of pay. He absolutely does not want any part of any legal action. He said, that's corporate stuff and this is family, and I respect him and how he feels on that. Although he knows I'm different and would definitely do that with my family, but again, we grew up different. Honestly, though, I feel if we reduce her pay, she'll probably just leave anyway because she's threatened to leave before when she asked for more pay and we told her we couldn't do it. My husband still wants to stew on it a bit before he makes a decision. I told him I want to be included as we're partners, and he said he'd keep me included in his thoughts the next couple days. I guess I'll have to update you more when there's an actual resolution. And there is a third update, folks. My husband messaged her reduction of $1 in pay. No more paid Saturday off a month, and her attitude and behavior will change or she'll have to go. He went to bed after the text was sent, and when I got home, I of course checked his phone to see if she responded, and she did. She said, she'll just have to leave then, because she can't take a reduction of pay. It was $1. Blaming everything on me, minimizing and straight up denying behaviors, and twisted everything around. She then set a series of messages because his read receipts are on, and of course, I didn't respond on his phone, not my place. She said, so what's that decision then? I'm assuming since you didn't respond. As if anything she said would have changed his mind. She didn't even utter one "I'm sorry," and she thought he would just cave and take back the consequences of her actions? Wild. Anyways, I responded to her on my phone saying my husband was asleep and didn't read the text. I did. She didn't respond, of course, LOL. Although I haven't heard from my husband, if she does accept the terms, then she will be gone because he nor I will back down on the consequences. In my opinion, she's lucky it's just that and not firing, but I guess we'll see if she's bluffing. By the way, I never bluff about how many episodes we have with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story.
Well, wait. Everyone says 160 a month. Okay, so if she doesn't get that day, I'm doing the math because I like doing math on this kind of stuff. Okay, so one day, 8 hours times 1750 is 140. Okay, plus $1 off, so that's 120. Because if it's 40 hours, wait. Let's see. Sorry, 40 times 4 is 160. So I got that wrong. Look how we're like cross-referencing here. So it's wait. Oh, man, I pressed times. Okay, so she's getting paid $300 less a year, or a month. $300 less a month, okay? We're all good here.
All right,
we got our
there we go.
mathing.
Okay, great job.
There
Great
we
job,
go.
Riley. That's a significant.
That's
significant.
And there is a final update, but I think all of these changes are fair.
Yeah, I mean-
because she's causing trouble, and if you cause trouble for your boss, they're not going to want to keep you. There are going to be consequences.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good way to do it too. Like, especially if she's family and they can't just be like, you're out of here. Like, they can be like, okay, well, like reducing pay and stuff like that. That's something that can be earned back.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Like if she, behaves properly
yeah,
and helps out, then yeah, she could probably get a raise.
exactly.
But there's a fourth update, folks, and I think final update. Basically, she declined the consequences and said it would be her last day yesterday. My husband felt bad because she had personal things going on with her dog and needs the money. Well, then she should have stayed. It's on her. So kindly, he offered to let her stay until that situation is over with, which is about 3 weeks a month, I believe. I'm not sure. She hasn't responded yet, at least not since my husband went to sleep. I work all day today until 10 p.m. with my second job, so won't be able to at least talk to my husband until then. I really wanted to just make one final update, but these things take time, especially with family. My husband did ask if I was okay with allowing her to stay with no consequences, and then she leaves after, and I said, yes, of course. I'm in no place to just punt his sister out, nor would I want to. So that's all for now, and I'll have to update y'all when she responds with her answer. Either way, she'll be gone at some point, so that's somewhat of a conclusion. Thank y'all for your feedback. I guess that's all for now, and for a while. And folks, that's all for that story.
My brother shamed my sister-in-law, so I exposed his dirty secret.
Ooh, you said, I'll give you my dirty little secret.
And I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
Long story short, my brother and sister-in-law are divorcing because my brother couldn't keep it in his pants. He has made life hard for sister-in-law and has been a disrespectful man baby, even though he's the one who cheated. By the way, this comes from user MiddleTank3737. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. It's safe to say my brother and I are not on good terms, but he was dragging his feet when it came to moving out, stressing sister-in-law out. So I suggested we get a place together. It got a boot up his behind. And with me pitching in with rent, he had more options, so we quickly found a place. I arranged for brother and sister-in-law's mutual friends to help us move. I told sister-in-law to leave everything to us. Go out, spend the day with the guy she's been dating, and when she got back, she'd have the house to herself. I even said I'd pick my niece up from school so she didn't have to worry about it. Everything was going smoothly, and we were preparing the last load, but then sister-in-law came back. I don't know why. She wasn't supposed to be back until the evening when my brother and his friends would be long gone. Now, it's not that it's a secret that she's dating or anything. It's just that they've only been dating for a month or two. They're still in the getting to know you phase, and they're not at the stage where they introduce each other to all their friends and family. Those closest to her know about him, like her mom, a few girlfriends, and me, but not the mutual friends yet. So it's a little awkward since they've never met him and don't know who he is. But everyone says hi to him and they're friendly, and then start chatting with sister-in-law, asking her how she is, how her day was. La-di-da-di-da. My brother looks her date right in his eye and says as loudly as he can, "Enjoy effing my wife," as if she was the one cheating or something. Their friends and her neighbors, everyone goes silent and just stares at sister-in-law and her date. Sister-in-law was humiliated. I could see it on her face. So I snapped just as loudly, "Well, at least she waited until after the breakup, unlike you and your girlfriend."
Oh!
Yes.
Get 'em.
I'm sorry. What is that? Oh, that is the
Got
the
roasted.
bomb being dropped upon you. I guess my brother didn't appreciate me exposing his dirty little secret, so the confrontation escalated. And I said and did some things, some I regret, some I wish I had done sooner. Well, now sister-in-law is unhappy the way that things escalated. Obviously, she's furious at my brother, but she's also upset with me. She says I let my temper get the better of me and that I've probably burnt a bridge with him, and now we have to live together. I shouldn't have let him rile me up. Devastated that my brother and I have fallen out, I think she hoped my offer to move in with him was a sign I forgave him, but I don't. I did it to get him out of the house so she wouldn't have to put up with his BS anymore. And honestly, like, if your relationship with a sibling, I'm an only child, so I can't really speak with certainty, but I feel like if calling your brother out on absolutely his BS is going to irreparably damage your relationship, I don't know. I don't know how beneficial or positive it could ever be. Their mutual friends say I should have handled it differently, like more calmly and not made a scene, and that I shouldn't have aired dirty laundry in public. I said, he started it. My brother's best friend said, yeah, what he did was crappy, but I have to understand things are complicated and my brother is having a hard time right now. What the actual F?
Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo.
I don't care about my brother or his crappy friends, but I'm worried I made sister-in-law's life harder and that maybe I embarrassed her too. She's really upset, and while a lot of it is with my brother, I can tell she's also unhappy with me. Maybe I took it too far. Am I the a-hole? Comments. Number 1, your sister is probably worried about you. Never nice to see family members fight, even if there's a valid reason for it. I don't know how close you are with your brother before this. Either way, I don't think you were in the wrong. Your brother was bang out of order. What was he trying to achieve with this? Definitely nothing good. Do his friends know? Like, why do they think they're divorcing? I'm very concerned about his friend saying he's having a hard time, but not considering how hard this is for your sister. Did they stick up for her at all? Not the a-hole. OP says, the two of them practically raised me, so I was always very close to both of them, but I'm not on such good terms with him now, not after this. After his friends pulled me off him, they dragged him to the van and told me to stay here while they sorted things out, whatever that means. But no, they don't know they got told generic BS like, oh, they just drifted apart and things weren't working. They don't even know the person he's dating is his mistress. Reply, oh my God, what is it with men like this? They cheat, they leave their wives, they wreck their families, but they do everything they can just to make as much of a mess as possible. And he is still seeing his affair partner? The cheek. I think maybe you should talk to his friends, tell him what he really did, or else your brother is going to try and twist things around. He was trying to twist the narrative already, trying to make it seem like your sister-in-law was the cause of their divorce. You need to set the record straight ASAP. OP says, oh, trust me, I plan to tell all of his friends. Comment 2 says, your sister-in-law doesn't want to see herself as the one who broke the family apart, so I'd suggest keep telling her repeatedly that she did nothing wrong and that she is not making anyone pick sides, and you know it. You aren't choosing her side. You are and always were on the side of truth, the side of what's right. And you wouldn't stand for anyone, sibling or not, treating anyone as she's been treated. That's not you picking a side. That's the principle you adhere to and always have. OP says, that's good advice. Thanks, man. I do plan on talking with her in a bit. I think that, and I know she is upset because she and my brother practically raised me. My mom passed away when I was a kid. I used to look up to my brother, and we were close. And I know she's devastated that we're not getting along. Honestly, this is more like watching parents divorce for me than a sibling. I want her to know that this isn't her fault. She did nothing wrong in any of this. And there is an update.
She didn't do anything wrong. It's good to hear it.
I think maybe you need to apologize for having to be dragged off of your brother. I talked it out with sister-in-law. The reason she was upset was because she was worried I'd be arrested, like if my brother chose to press charges or something. Okay, clearly there was a tackle. She didn't want me getting in trouble. She was more worried about me than herself, as always. Says I gave him ammunition either to use against me or to play the victim or both. She's grateful I stood up for her, but wishes I hadn't been so physical about it, which is fair. Also, I found out why she got there early. My brother texted her, said we were at the new place, but he thinks he left the oven on, so could she swing by to check it? But of course, we weren't at the new flat. We were still unloading the van. She wasn't expecting anyone to be there. sister-in-law is paranoid about that kind of thing due to a house fire when she was a kid. She won't even allow candles in the house in case it starts a fire, so he knew she'd come running over. My brother wanted her to come back while everyone was still there. He had been planning to humiliate her. Oh, and her date was there because he noticed a suspicious bruise on her arm. He went with her because he didn't want her going in the house alone in case my brother was waiting for her or something. So that's a whole nother level of a-holery I found out about. Not great. His best friend Tommy reached out to me to talk. Turns out my brother told Tommy he and sister-in-law separated, but the plan was for them to work on their issues, get some space, and come back and try again. But instead, sister-in-law started dating someone new, which is 100% not what happened. Now, Tommy didn't blame or begrudge sister-in-law for it. In his mind, that's what separations are for, but that's what his comment on how my brother was having a hard time and things being complicated was all about. Tommy then said, based on some of the things I said during the confrontation, that what my brother told him isn't the full story. I said, no, none of what my brother said was true. I told him the truth. I showed him the proof. And originally, Tommy didn't want to play sides. They all went to school together. And although he's closer to my brother than sister-in-law, he's still good friends with her. He had to think about it for a little while, but decided he is 100% on sister-in-law's side. He told the rest of their circle of friends the truth as well. My brother doesn't know that they all know. Oh boy. They're still talking to him, but they've all agreed that if he ever tries to pull something like what he did on moving day, they'll step in. Oh, and Tommy said him and the other guys chewed my brother out for what he did when they got to the flat. I wish they'd done it sooner and maybe more publicly, but it was good to hear he got a stern talking to nonetheless.
Yeah, in that moment, everyone should be calling him out. You should not have been the only... I mean, well, they didn't know, but still not something you say.
Tommy also apologized to my sister-in-law for not stopping my brother and made it clear nobody hates her, nobody blames her, and if my brother gives her any trouble, just let them know. I'm officially moved in with my brother, and it's awkward AF. He won't talk to me, he won't acknowledge me, but whatever, I don't give a F if he ever talks to me again, as long as he leaves sister-in-law alone. And by the way, you never have to leave us alone, because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts. Wherever you're listening to podcasts, just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to 69 plus 1 days of stories. We have a little bit more story left. I don't think you should be living with this guy.
No.
That's an untenable living situation. How long is your lease?
Yeah, maybe that's the only thing holding him there.
All I really care about is that sister-in-law has plenty of backup. Me, my brother's friends, and I don't know her date very well, but he seems like a solid guy. When my brother teed off on moving day, he just took her into the house, didn't engage with my brother, just got her out of there. My brother, meanwhile, hasn't learned a dang thing because he lied and told his trashy mistress that he got his bruises from sister-in-law's date. The guy went nowhere near him, by the way. Also, he can keep trash-talking sister-in-law and play victim. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I hate what he's done and hate that he's walking around as if he's the victim. It's so frustrating that he's not really faced any real consequences for what he did, but I don't know what else I can do. And that is the end of that story. I feel like all of his friends knowing and imploding on him, that's kind of a consequence, but
yeah,
you know, the worst consequence that he can face is being himself. What a miserable guy.
My estranged sister wants to use me as a work reference. I refuse.
You're like, I don't even know this lady. Meh.
My sister, female 38, and I, female 41, were very close growing up. We had the usual bickering when we were younger, but when we were older, we traveled together, were roommates for a while, hung out together with our kids all the time, and talked on the phone multiple times a day. By the way, this comes from Stuff My Head Holes on the r/2 hot takes subreddit. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. About 10 years ago, she suddenly ghosted me. I lived very remote from family, so just showing up was not an option. I would call and call, I would write letters, but never got any response. I would ask my family what was going on, and she always had excuses as to why she wasn't talking to me. She didn't have time, she didn't have money for her phone, whatever. Never mentioned having any fights or disagreements. Excuses were always logistical. After 3 or 4 years of this, I respected her decision and I took an intense class on forgiveness. I used her as my area to work on. I knew that me harboring any resentments would only hurt me. Part of the exercise was to write a letter to the person. I poured my heart into the letter, and some of it was definitely not kind to her. I knew she would never see it, so I threw all my resentments in there. It was an exercise for me, not for her. My mother and I would send letters to each other, and I would always send her some of the things that I was working on in the various classes I took, or things that I found interesting. So I told her about the class I was taking, And I sent her the letter that I wrote about my sister, whether that was right or wrong. I thought maybe it would help her understand how much the ghosting devastated me. Since I had no contact with my sister, maybe a family friend could help navigate. They were equally confused as I was. At least that's what they were telling me. Flash forward a few years later, nothing has changed. I have relocated back to a few hours' distance of my family. Nothing has changed between my sister and me. Her story now is that I wrote her a letter and it was harsh and mean, and that is the whole reason that she has cut me off, even though this was something I sent to my mom. Somehow my sister got her hands on it. My mom claims that my sister stumbled upon it, that she did not give it to her. Yes, it was mean. I pulled no 1-2s in that letter because it was like a diary exercise. It was never meant for her to read, but she is now using that to justify why she has nothing to do with me. I guess we'll just ignore the first 5 years she ghosted me with no reason. Those were just practice? At this point, my family's doing 2 Christmases. I try to go out of town around Thanksgiving. It's all weird. I did attempt to reach out to her again, which she ignored. I'm told that she actually got mad at the rest of the family because she assumed that they put me up to it. My perspective is, when people show you who they are, believe them. She has made it clear that I don't matter to her, and she doesn't want me in her life. I have long come to terms with that. My dad reached out to me a few weeks ago to tell me that my sister is applying to be a sort of big sister of sorts, and she needs 3 references that aren't family. Because my last name doesn't match hers, she wants to use me. I have a number of issues with this. She has so few friends in her life that she has to use me. She ignores all of my efforts to reconnect over the past decade, but can't be bothered to call me personally to ask. Her life is a hot mess, to the point where the entire family admits that she's a wonderful friend to her current children, but a horrible parent. How about put the fire out in your own house before going to fight the fire next door?
Yeah, it's like, it sounds like she just shouldn't be doing this.
When my dad asked me if I was willing to be a reference for this, I was absolutely flabbergasted at the audacity. I told him absolutely not, and if she wants to use me, she can have the balls to reach out to me directly and have a conversation. Well, he calls me back a little while later to tell me that she already submitted the application and put me down. So now, I have 2 emails from this organization asking for a reference. Other than 2 family events that we are at together, I haven't had a conversation with her in a decade. I've never asked my parents to divide holidays or events. I can show up where I need to be and conduct myself like an adult. My parents say they are sick of this divide and just want to be a family again. My father has screamed at me about our silly little thing. Any attempts to remind them that she ghosted me out of nowhere for years without a word are met with anger, that I should just get over it. I am planning to just ignore the emails from the organization. I cannot in good conscience lie. My bigger question is, when my parents come at me about not doing this, how do I navigate it? Yes, I am a grown but adult, but Dad's temper is fearsome. I am currently living in a house he owns at his request to help take care of Grandma, his mom, who is in her 90s. I work remote, so I can live anywhere. It's absolutely miserable here, but it definitely helps the family out. Once I'm no longer needed here, I will be immediately moving back to where my job is. I feel confident that I have done the right thing on my end. I have attempted hundreds of times to reach out over the years and finally accepted that I am not a part of her life. I took classes to come to terms with it, and I'm in a good place. I don't wish any bad things to happen to her. I have accepted the way things are. It just seems too convenient that the family wants me to ignore those years where my heart was broken because she suddenly cut me off with no reason. I've done a lot of work and taken a lot of classes and therapy to be able to communicate about how people treat me. Unfortunately, no one else in my family has. I feel like I'm all over the place and not clearly explaining anything. I just know that at some point it's going to be World War III when they come asking about that reference again. Any advice would be helpful. We have an edit. Thank you all so much for the feedback. I'm definitely not going to lie for her. I think my bigger issue is that I feel like I've become an emotional 1-2ing bag for my dad. He and my mom are still married, but live separately. They are still very close and hang out together all the time. I live in another house with my grandmother, He has made it clear that if I move out, Grandma will have to go into a facility of some kind. My mom has had some super scary health issues lately, and I know that's got my dad very concerned. So the first time he trauma dumped on me, it hurt, but I tried not to take it personal. This past weekend, he did it again, screaming at me about things that my grandmother is doing, things that my sister's doing, telling me that he doesn't care about me and that I'm effed up, all because I have boundaries. I refuse to let my grandmother or anyone else walk all over me. I've done too much work for that. Grandma has proven herself to be a very unreliable narrator, entirely self-absorbed, and gives zero Fs about how anyone else feels. She does what she wants, and no one can tell her any different. I'm the only one that attempts to hold her accountable for what she does to me.
Where did Grandma come from?
I know, that was so out of the blue. Everyone else just pretends it doesn't happen. For me, she is permanently on an information diet in the gray rock zone. My sister actually has very little to do with my dad. She only calls him if she needs something. And she never calls my grandmother. Grandma cries over this regularly. She lives with my mom with her kid. She is actually married, but her husband lives in his own place. I have no clue what that's all about. Not my monkeys, not my circus. Just writing this all out has really shown me how messed up this whole thing is. And we have an update.
Yeah, get space from your whole family, dude. Get space from all of them. You don't even need
And
to go
don't
like
write
no
that
contact.
letter. I haven't spoken to my father since he screamed at me last week. A couple days ago, I was working. I work from home and was in my room, and my door was half closed. I guess he was dropping my grandmother off, and all of a sudden, I turned around and he's in my room walking towards my bathroom. It was really weird because there's a common bathroom in the hallway that is usually used. Why would you suddenly feel the need to use mine? It felt almost aggressive. Normally, if he comes over, he's super respectful about knocking or making sure I'm not in a meeting. It was just weird. But the real update is that I went to lunch with my mom yesterday. She's still working on recovering, but she's out of the hospital and doing physical therapy. She's able to walk short distances, so I took her to lunch to get her out of the house. I wasn't going to tell her about the BS with my dad, but I guess my grandmother and dad had said to her that they weren't going to attend any more get-togethers unless the entire family was there. I guess it doesn't matter to them whether any of us have other plans or have any feelings on the matter, right? So usually on the 4th of July, they all get together because it's my sister's birthday. Dad called mom to ask what the plans were, and mom told him that he wasn't invited. I had to give her a double high five for that. My sister has made it clear what her boundaries are, and I had to give my mom props for the respecting those boundaries. It made me realize that all the BS with the family has been around me putting up boundaries about how I'll be treated and stuff like that. Anyway, that led us to talking about the whole situation with dad, grandma, all the things. My mom is a pretty gentle person. When she heard the things my dad had said to me last week, she actually dropped the F-bomb. That has only ever happened a couple times in my entire life. Her response was something like, "How effing dare he?" By the way, you can get full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, and search OK Storytime. I told her about the threats about me living here and spelled out that I'm absolutely miserable, that I'm worried about it being nuclear if I try to move out. She told me flat out that I've done so much already by giving them the help for the last 3 years, and that she 100% supports me leaving when I'm ready to. She said grandma has the finances to get the help that she needs and says that I've done enough. The reference letter never came up. Given the conversation that we had, I'm sure my mom would have brought it up if it was a big deal. In fact, I don't know if she even knows about me being asked about it, since everything came through my dad. At this point, the reference seems minor compared to the relief that I'm feeling that I was heard, that I'm supported, and that it's okay if I start working on moving on with my life. I feel like I matter, so that's a win.
Well, that's good. That's a good place to be. Feeling like you matter. That's a good place to leave it. I want to warn my sister-in-law's possible boyfriend about her intentions.
Intentions about what?
Intentions to deceive. My 34 male sister-in-law, 26 female, is a bit of an introvert who hasn't had much success in dating. She was in a long-term relationship for about 3 years, but her ex broke it off, and she still hasn't found anyone since. This was about 4 years ago. She's gone on some dates over the years, but nothing seems to work out, and this has been frustrating her. By the way, this comes from user sisinlaw301, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, a couple weeks ago, she found a guy, late 20s, on Tinder, and they went out on a date to a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, she said the date went okay.
Okay.
And I don't know all the details, but apparently this guy has money.
Okay.
He owns his own business. He picked her up in a BMW, and they went to a really fancy place for their first date. Personal aside, this all seems very odd to me from a match on Tinder. So, my wife, 29 female, was asking more about the date, and I got the impression she wasn't physically attracted to him. My sister-in-law likes tall guys, and he isn't very tall, and he's a little overweight. She showed us his Instagram, and he's an all-right-looking dude, but I could tell she was kind of meh on his physical appearance overall.
I feel like with guys, if they stand on their money, it makes them taller. Does
Yeah,
that
dude.
make sense?
Is this guy just realizing money is attractive? That's what it sounds like. It's like,
I don't know why my sister could be into this guy with money.
oh, buddy. Oh, you're so close. You're right
Close.
there.
It's okay to be attracted to money. Not everyone wants it. I don't want that.
Last week, they go on another date. My wife and I were at my mother-in-law's, 52 female, house when she got back. She lives at home and tells us about how the date went. Again, they go to a pretty fancy restaurant, and apparently it was a carbon copy of their previous date, which seems weird. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I guess they had the same conversations. These were her words, and she was obviously less enthused by this date. My wife asks if she's going to see him again, and she said, maybe. I ask if she sees a future with him, and she said, maybe. But since he has money, she wants to try and make it work.
There's got to be a little bit more there than money.
Kings, you're worth more than just what's in your pocket.
Should empty our pockets out right now and see what we're worth.
Nothing. I got nothing in my pockets.
Ford Fusion, box opener.
Wallet.
That's it.
You could take my identity. You could try. I was shocked by this answer, and I was even more shocked that my wife or mother-in-law didn't say anything to her about this kind of attitude. I said, sister-in-law, that's not nice. If you're not attracted to him, you shouldn't just use him for fancy dinners. This didn't start an argument exactly, but she didn't appreciate my comment, and it kind of soured the evening, so we left shortly after. My wife and I got into it when we got home, and she told me I should mind my own business. I said it's effed up that she's only interested in seeing him more because he has money. If she had that kind of attitude about me when we first started dating, we may not have ended up together. She said I was making a lot of assumptions about her intentions, but how can I be making assumptions when it came right out of her mouth? This went on for a bit, and this is still a lingering issue between us. I feel like I've become slightly red-pilled or something, because the more I stew on this, the more it's pissing me off, and I'm really contemplating reaching out to him about this. Ew, gross, brother. Just no. Mind your
Dude,
own business. What are you doing?
What?
This is truly a mind your own business type
Yes.
situation.
Yes, you should have not said anything. This sounds like a conversation you would have with your significant other, and it ends there.
Yeah, and you should go, you're right.
You shouldn't talk to the sister about this. If you think that about the sister, don't say it out loud.
Yeah, he's going to go talk to the guy that she's dating right now and be like, yeah, she just wants you for your money.
Yeah, I could somehow kind of see the intention behind it, but that's their business.
Yeah, imagine he's just like, yeah, bro, I know.
Why do you think I pulled up in a BMW?
Why do you think I pulled up in the BMW and took her to the nicest restaurant in town?
Come on.
It's a factor for me. Anyway, not saying that's right, but it's like, it's really completely none of your business.
Yeah, true.
Or like, you know, feeling like a sense of like justice or righteousness. Like he needs to
Yeah.
know. It's like, no.
That's their business.
I don't know him like that, and I'm aware this might be a bit excessive, but if I was in his situation, I would be very grateful if somebody with inside information let me know, so I'm not sure if I should do this. Comment number 1. Why do you assume that this poor, innocent, rich dude is naively flaunting his wealth and in need of you to come rescue him from a shameless gold digger after 2 Tinder dates? He was smart enough to get some money, and now he's doing well, and he does what he wants with it, which includes using it as a means of advanced social capital, picking her up in a flashy car, taking her to a very high-end restaurant, deliberately flashing his wealth on the first date, is him using that feature about himself as a means of making himself more attractive. If he wanted your sister-in-law not to care about it, he wouldn't have done those things or made her aware of his wealth so early on. I read an interview with the founder of Seeking Arrangement where he basically said, I'm not a great-looking guy, and I know I don't have a lot to offer women, but I am loaded, and that lets me get with women that are otherwise way out of my league. It's mutually beneficial. It is super weird and creepy of you to assume that your sister-in-law is taking advantage of this dude, and not that he is an adult who is fully aware of the situation that he is in. Keep out of it. And there's a second comment.
Couldn't
but
have
I
said it better.
fully agree with comment number 1 there. Comment number 2, do you really think a guy in his late 20s needs you to explain to him that women are attracted to him because he has money? Are you dense or just weird? This is none of your business. How do you know he's not dating her just to hook up? You don't know anything about this. And there's an update. I do know that if your wife was upset, you should have been like, yeah, you're right. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
This is not a non-issue for you. This isn't something that you needed to like
Set right.
put your relationship in hot water over.
Yeah.
There's an update. To start off, I did not reach out to the guy. Whew.
Thank God.
Thinking about it more, I can't assume he is a fool, so he must be aware of what he's doing. Furthermore, the headache that would have followed if I had reached out is just not worth it. Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow. So she's spinning it. You know what? Actually, I'm saving myself energy.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Well, no, this is
How far
well,
in
no,
are
this
we?
is the brother of.
Oh, this is a dude?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I thought it was a woman this whole time.
No, OP is 34 male. Oh, I think I got that mixed up.
Guys, so sorry. Reading comprehension. We got everyone's private parts mixed up here.
I got mixed up. I thought this was his sister. It's not even his sister. It's his wife's sister.
Got it. I thought this
Which
was a
makes
woman the whole time.
Even more of a, this is none of your business.
Yeah, dude. This is weird.
Ugh.
Hey,
Ugh.
man to man. This chick's just using you for your money. I just thought you'd need to know, bro. Leave it alone.
The reality is there's people who date because they're like, I want to go be taking nice places and
Yep.
do nice things and be in a nice car
Yeah.
with a guy who makes a lot of money.
Financial security is attractive. Also, sit back and watch it as a soap opera, man.
I would be more like a, hey, you know that's not everything, right? Not in like a, I need to tell him. It needs to be like a,
Yeah.
we should maybe like try to guide your sister to a point where it's like, sure, it's nice to have a partner who has money, but it's like, that shouldn't be the only thing like keeping you in the relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Should be the only attractive factor. You should like his personality.
Yeah.
You get 2 of the 3. Handsome, personality, money. If you have all 3, hit me up.
Everything beyond this point I heard secondhand from my wife. I have not spoken to my mother-in-law or sister-in-law about this situation since the incident. I've come to find out my mother-in-law did agree with what I said to my sister-in-law, but she knew that if she made a comment about it that my sister-in-law would have gotten very upset. My mother-in-law told my wife she was actually going to talk about it more with my sister-in-law after my wife and I left that night, but since I made my comment, she felt like it was hard to bring it up again without looking like my mother-in-law and I mean, were ganging up on her. My wife also told me that she doesn't think my sister-in-law should keep seeing him either if she's really only interested because he has money. Apparently, my wife didn't like the way I expressed my opinion and was just happy that my sister-in-law was putting herself out there again. The fact my wife didn't tell me this the night we argued about it and was making up a bunch of other BS is another frustrating situation, but I don't want to get too far off topic here. The reason this came up again is because my sister-in-law and this guy went on another date this past Friday. There is a group chat with me, my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and my wife, and the 3 of them have their own group chat. My sister-in-law talked about it in their group chat, so I'm assuming she's still annoyed at me. So he takes her out to dinner again, and this time apparently he's being very flirty. Some context here, my sister-in-law is not great at conversations, so I think what's happening here is he's complimenting her, and she's just saying thanks, and the convo stops there. This is relevant for the next part. Her hand was on the table, and the guy put his hand on hers, which she pulled back and took her hand off the table. This was referred to as him being too handsy in the chat. Nah, girl, this is just when you're like, if you're physically repulsed by the guy you're seeing, you should leave.
Yeah. Not the vibe.
He apologized, and she said it was fine. I don't think she told him why she reacted like that. By the way, I'll tell you, you can listen to full episodes with stories like this one on your favorite podcast platform. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, just search OK Storytime. You can listen to our full archive. There's a little bit more story here.
This guy's missing the whole point of her going on this date. The point, she's putting herself back out there after being with someone for a pretty good bit, and she's figuring out the ropes. It's sort of like watching a kid be on a bicycle. They're going to fall. They're going to get hurt. But he's like, no, put training wheels on. You're wearing that helmet wrong. You actually need to wear this shirt instead of that shirt. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I mean, I think it's less of like that and more like he was coming from a place that's relevant. Like his wife and the mother-in-law like agree with him, but it was about the way he went about it, which
Yeah.
is like calling her out at dinner
Not
and
the
being
vibe.
like, he doesn't deserve that. It should be more of like a, what do you want and what
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
actually deserve? You deserve a guy that you actually have a connection with beyond just someone who has money. That's a very empty, hollow connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, just because there are people who date like that doesn't mean that it's like the right way to go about it or that it's you know? And so instead of like putting it on like you're doing a bad thing and you should feel bad for being bad. It's like, of course, it's your wife's sister. Like, she's going to stick up for her sister even when she agrees with you.
Just stick up for your sister-in-law, my dude. Why are we
Yeah.
worried about this guy's feelings? Do you want to date him? Are you trying to go on a
Exactly.
date with him?
That's the issue. You just nailed it. It's that it feels like you care more about the random Tinder guy than about the sister-in-law. All right, let's finish this story. The rest of the date went normal, I suppose, after that. And when he dropped her off at home, he didn't get out of the car and walk her to the front door. He just said bye and left. He had walked her to the front door the first 2 times. The next day, he texted her and apologized again for being too forward with her. She didn't respond, and she told my wife and mother-in-law that she's not going to see him anymore. My wife is of the belief she's just upset right now, and she might change her mind in a couple of days. What? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. She doesn't like this guy. She's ghosting him. She's moving on. I would counsel her not to go back to this guy because you clearly don't like him.
It's not the vibe.
So, this saga has seemingly reached its end. I am all but certain I'm secretly being blamed for this because I opened my mouth, which is whatever. No, you're not. Stop it.
Yeah, stop overthinking, dude.
I'm not a mind reader, so I had no way of knowing how my wife and mother-in-law felt at the time we all heard her logic for continuing the relationship. I'm very aware she's super sensitive and does not take any form of detraction or criticism well, but there are just some subjects people need to hear straight up, and I believe this is one of them. No, dude, you're believing it wrong.
Yeah.
You need to, when it's your broski or when it's someone who's not, I don't know, directly related to your wife, maybe you can be a little more, maybe you can be a little more heavy-handed. This required better execution on your part.
It doesn't seem like you have that kind of relationship with a sister-in-law either.
Well, it's like
if I was close to my sister-in-law, I'd be like, girl, are you just after him for his money? What are you doing? Not
right.
Sister-in-law seems introverted. Takes a little bit of time to warm up to not engaging into the dating thing, but she's not super comfortable with it, but she's putting herself out there.
Well,
and you're coming out there with, you shouldn't like him for his money. You pulled away from him and you should have told him why. Boo, boo, boo.
Well, he didn't say that to her. All that was secondhand from the wife.
That's true.
But he was feeling that.
Yeah.
But it is true that she said at the table, she's like, I'm only going to try to make this work because of his money. She said that at dinner.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that both your mother-in-law and your wife agreed with your position, but you clearly executed it so poorly that they had to be like, whoa, dude, mind your own business. Because it's like, you can't go from a place of shame. It felt like you were just trying to shame her.
Yeah. Weird.
Mentor, not shame.
Yeah.
Mentorship.
Friendship.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got another freaking story for you guys.
We do. It's coming right up.
Beep bop boop boop. We can put any background we want back here. Kind of.
My sister-in-law said awful things about me, so I'm removing her from my wedding.
Bye-bye.
I, 25 female, have been with my now fiancé, 26 male, for a little over a year. He proposed to me back in early March, and ever since I have felt that my sister-in-law, 23 female, has begun to dislike me. I found out that a few days before my fiancé proposed, my sister-in-law overheard the conversation he was having with my mother-in-law about my ring and then the proposal and completely exploded on him. She told him how it was too soon and that she was supposed to be the one to get engaged first. My fiancé and I had many conversations about marriage, and we felt getting engaged after a year was perfect for us. My sister-in-law has been with her boyfriend, 21 male, for a little over 2 years. By the way, this comes from Diligent Inflation 5, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And I'm Dakota.
And OP says, I didn't say anything to her about this because I didn't think it was my place, and I figured his family would have a conversation with her. Apparently, there was a conversation, but when she texted my fiance later, she basically told him that she was happy for him, but was still standing firm on how she felt. Fast forward to June, I have been wanting to talk to her about why there's been a shift in her behavior towards me, but didn't know how. She shot me down when I asked if she wanted to come wedding dress shopping in May. She watches all of my stuff on Instagram, but never likes anything. And she's never told me congratulations. I decided yesterday to reach out to her, and when I did, I prefaced that I wasn't trying to attack her or argue. I just wanted to have an open conversation about how she's feeling. I genuinely wish that I would have just left it alone because she quite literally exploded on me.
Kabloom.
She told me that I've been disrespectful and dismissive of her boyfriend and parents on multiple occasions. She then went on to insinuate that I was probably going to divorce her brother and break his heart, and that she would be the one to pick up all the pieces and lift him up in life. And finished it off by confirming that she does talk about me behind my back, because she hasn't seen me in her house to confront me. I responded to all of her points, just expressing that I've never been disrespectful, and her saying those things about her brother and I were heartbreaking. I also reiterated that we are different ages, so what makes sense for us probably won't always make sense for her. She then doubled down while beginning to curse at me and said that we have a higher chance of getting divorced since I wanted to rush into marriage. And the only reason I wanted to get engaged was because I heard her and her boyfriend argue about it 24/7. She's just mad her boyfriend won't propose to her.
Yeah, I'll be like, listen, youngin.
Also saying that, like, I will say though, saying that they're at such different places in life when she's 23 versus 25. Like, OP, you're really not that far off, but sure.
Hey, yeah, once you get the 23 to 25 jump is pretty big.
But I feel like after 25 is when you really start to hit the like, whoa, I understand thing.
Yeah, I feel like this child, well, not child, but 23-year-old,
Youngin.
this youngin, is just thinks she knows everything. That's what it is. And she's like, I know everything. I'm old enough now. I know everything. I'm all knowing.
Yeah.
She's just upset that her boyfriend won't propose to her. 1.
And her boyfriend, who's 21.
Yeah. 2, she's just jealous, so she's just projecting.
Yeah.
I'd be like, haha, that sucks.
Hardcore projection.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just a little jelly. You sounds like an issue, not an ish me, honey.
And this could totally go either way. I feel like, too, like, I could 100% seeing OP's fiance, brother of the siblings, be like, well, I'm older. Like, it makes sense for me to be first. And then her also being like, but I've been with him longer. And, like, sure, valid complaints from both sides. Get over it.
I've been like, what's stopping you?
Right.
What's stopping you?
Tell your boyfriend to do it then.
You can do it. I'm not going to stop you.
Right.
But now I'm not going to go to your wedding because you said all those really mean things.
Untwist your panties. Just to preface, my fiance and I got engaged after a year and we'll be getting married after 2 years. We will also be living together starting in December. She was really upset about the age thing and even said that I accused her boyfriend of bringing another girl home. Conversation was me asking if he had a sister, since neither myself nor my fiance knew who she was. And once she confirmed that, that was the end of the conversation. She called me delusional and weird and finished off her message by saying, my point is, I'm only going to the wedding to support my brother.
Then I'd be like, you're not going to the wedding.
I immediately blocked her on everything
Good.
because I felt the entire thing was toxic.
I would have shown, maybe take screenshots.
Talk with your fiance.
Talk with your fiance. Be like, listen, why is she like this? And
Yeah.
do you want to have a talk with her?
Yeah, maybe you should talk to her about this one, buddy. She's your sibling.
Yeah.
I told my fiance that I don't want her at the wedding because there's no way she thinks she can speak to me like this and still think she's invited. I've even been considering trashing the micro wedding idea and just eloping. I also sent the entire conversation to my mother-in-law because I didn't want there to be any question on if what I was saying was true or just me twisting words. Now, because of this, my mother-in-law told them both, my fiance and sister-in-law, that they have to come over next week for a family meeting. So I'll see how that goes. Part of me is upset that I even said anything because I genuinely wanted to resolve this whole thing. But the other half is happy because now I know what I've been feeling this whole time wasn't just in my head. Anyways, am I the a-hole? We have an update.
No. The fact that like you tried to squash the beef or like try and figure out, hey, like why are you being like this? And then she was like, well, so I have a list, and it's all because you suck.
Without having a single conversation and then being like, well, you haven't been around for me to confront you. Okay.
I've tried to. I
Hit
wanted
me
to,
up
yeah,
and
that's
I'll
why,
come
That's
over.
why I reached out. And
Right.
now you have apparently a plethora of things that let me know that
Literally
you don't like me
showing,
for.
also showing how much sister-in-law is not an adult and not ready for super adult
Yeah,
things because you
all
can't handle this.
All I'm hearing is wah.
Yeah, you
wah,
sound like a
wah.
baby.
But that sucks, dude.
But we have an update. Anyways, they had their family meeting at the beginning of July, and I was not present for this. My fiance filled me in on a lot of what was said, and in my opinion, it went better than I expected.
Okay.
It went better in the sense that my in-laws tried to put my sister-in-law in my shoes.
Okay.
So there were a lot of questions of how would you feel if she said that to you? Or how would you feel if someone was treating you this way? With these questions, she had no real answer, so no real progress there. To me, that shows that she knows her behavior is bad enough that she wouldn't want to be treated that way, but not enough that she understands that she shouldn't treat me that way or anyone else. My fiance told me that my mother-in-law told her if she had to choose between her fiance/future and her piece of you-know-what sister, she would choose her fiancé every time. They even asked my sister-in-law if it was reversed and my fiancé was treating her that way, what would she choose? And she immediately said her boyfriend. So again, there's an understanding that she would never want to be treated that way, but not enough to not do it to others.
It's so dumb. It's like
Double standard.
It's a double standard. So it's like 2 + 2 = 4, right?
Yes.
So it's 4 - 2. No, I don't. I can't answer that.
Doesn't compute.
I can't do that. What?
I was told that my in-laws were and still are upset about the situation. So they were addressing her behavior, but I'm not sure how extensively. I know there are probably a lot of other details that I'm not aware of, simply because I wasn't there, and my fiance tried his best to relay everything back to me. At the end of the conversation, my in-laws asked if I would be willing to sit down with everyone and have a conversation on how we can move forward. Initially, I was extremely hesitant. This was a sign. But eventually, I decided it could possibly be a good thing and we could potentially move forward, although I was still standing firm in not wanting her at the wedding. My sister-in-law wanted to wait until her boyfriend got back, so we had to wait for that. Fast forward to last Thursday, my fiance told me that my sister-in-law texted him saying they were doing a lunch on Sunday, yesterday, and that everyone was invited. I figured this was going to be the meeting that my in-laws were wanting to have. I told my fiance that although I was pretty nervous about the whole thing, I was willing to go because I genuinely just wanted the whole thing to be done. It has taken a lot out of me, emotionally and mentally. And so I was ready to find a way to move forward. So we get there. My fiance and sister-in-law shared apartment, and I will admit that it was awkward. I felt like I was going to throw up before we walked in from the anxiety. So I was not having a good time. I spoke to everyone and hugged my in-laws, but I didn't speak to my sister-in-law, mainly because I didn't know if she would take it poorly, and I also didn't really want to. My sister-in-law's boyfriend, absolute angel, cooked lunch, which was really nice. And so for a bit, things were calm, and I was getting a little more relaxed, but not 100%.
Good. That's how they get you.
Luring you
They're
in.
luring you in so they can pounce on you.
After lunch, when the talk/meeting started, my in-laws basically mediated the whole thing. A lot of the main points were they wanted things to get figured out so it wouldn't always be like this. They didn't want it to be uncomfortable for anyone. They want to be able to get together for holidays and other things, especially since kids will be in the picture sooner or later. Most of the time, my sister-in-law wasn't really interested in the conversation, but once she was, it just kind of went downhill. A lot of her responses were, "I'm not sorry. I said what I said." She started it by sending me that long message. She made some comments about how she was being nice because she didn't start anything when I came in the house, which made me feel like I couldn't really speak up. Like it was a warning that she was being nice, but that she could flip at any moment. Anything that my in-laws said was met with pretty much the same response of, "I said what I said." There was a lot of, "I don't want to be her best friend."
I'm not asking you to be my best
Right.
friend. I'm just
Be civil,
I'm going to
be
be part of this
nice.
family, and why do you not like that?
Yeah. Be just like a genuinely decent person. Even though no one even mentioned that or asked her to. And she even told my mother-in-law that she didn't want to share her family with anyone.
What?
What?
But did you want to get married to your boyfriend? What?
Newsflash. That's
You're
sharing.
projecting. You're projecting. You are lame. Not about you.
My sister-in-law's boyfriend chimed in at one point and brought up how I sent that message right when they were going through a bad rough patch, which I didn't know because it's not my business. But even with that happening, it doesn't excuse her behavior at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I bet their rough patch was just that OP got engaged.
Why won't you marry me?
You do it yet?
What?
Yeah.
Marry me.
100% had to be that. It ultimately came to a destructive end when my father-in-law brought up how he would hope that eventually we could be on good terms and that things might change. My sister-in-law said, I mean, okay, yeah, eventually things could change, but right now I don't like this effing B.
I'm sorry.
I was so ready to be like, oh, like things will be civil enough that you can come to the wedding. No.
Now you doubled down.
No.
You're definitely not invited. You know who I am inviting? Your boyfriend.
Yes. Yes.
I'm inviting your boyfriend just to be petty.
Specifically, this is a ticket for one. It is only for you, boyfriend. And if sister-in-law shows up, we have security.
I'm sorry. Who crapped in your cereal today? Like, let's
To jump all the way to that
Well, I mean,
is crazy.
I think she was just like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm tired of this. I don't want to deal with this conversation. I want to go have my boyfriend propose to me.
Girl, he might not after this.
Oh my, could you imagine?
Can you imagine he stands up and he's like, actually, we don't really have to worry about this. I'm out.
Yeah. Could I come to the wedding though? I would literally be like,
He'd be like, hey, you wanna still come?
could I be the ring bearer?
You can officiate. I can't even tell you what everyone said after that because I was in a full-blown panic mode and had tunnel vision. I do remember my mother-in-law saying, wow, insert sister-in-law's name, but that's about it. I left and went into my fiance's bedroom because I had just reached my limit and I cried. After that, my fiance and sister-in-law got into a screaming match and I could hear my in-laws chiming in. But then my sister-in-law started crying. I found out later this was because she felt like everyone was attacking her.
Oh my gosh.
My fiance eventually came in to check on me and told me that we could leave. He just wanted me to take a moment to breathe and catch my breath. We talked for a bit, and then my mother-in-law asked to come in. She profusely apologized to me, and although it's her daughter, she's still technically a grown woman and is responsible for her own actions. I explained to her that I don't know that I've done something wrong unless it's communicated to me. And the only reason I really knew that I had done something was because I texted her trying to communicate, and it was taken poorly.
I want to see how she has arguments with her boyfriend.
Oh, terribly.
I want to see how they communicate.
She's the one, she just sits there and he's like, what's wrong? She's like, nothing.
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 Are you sure
Stop
nothing's
asking
wrong?
me, nothing's wrong.
Are you sure
Yeah.
nothing's wrong? No, I'm fine. I'm going to go to the other room, but I'm fine.
Just do your own thing. Just don't even talk to me. I'm fine.
Okay, I'm going to go hang out with the boys. Okay, go do that.
Slams
It comes
door.
back. How dare, like, screaming. No, that's the thing where, like, the second he steps out, the foot out the door, just, I said that I had no ill intent whatsoever with sending the message, although I do understand how some things could have been taken negatively or as a dig on her end. By the way, we'll never take it negatively as long as you go listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, search OK Storytime.
Boom, baby.
Boom. We got a little bit more, but this is crazy.
She's just cementing her case that, one,
She's not coming to the wedding.
you're not coming to the wedding. Two, I don't like you,
Yeah.
but you're going to be seeing me around often, so enjoy that. And if you want to come at me, guess who's on my side?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everybody. This is one of those things, too, where I would also kind of want to reiterate to, like, mother-in-law, father-in-law, like, I'll still come for Christmas. If she wants to deal with me, like, she can decide if she wants to come or not, but, like, I'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah, Emma says, no wonder he hasn't proposed. I don't know why he's still in this
Yeah.
relationship.
That
That's
man went
wild.
home and had a deep thought in the shower that night.
My favorite thing was, sister, what the heck are you doing? And she's like, you're attacking me.
Right.
Don't
Immediate
attack
tears.
me. No, everyone, no.
Because she knew she was
No.
losing, so she
Yeah.
was like, let me turn the tears up.
I'm a victim
Yeah.
now because I suck.
Yeah. I told both my fiance and mother-in-law that if I had any idea that this was how things were going to go, I would have never said anything. I told her I appreciated the thought of trying to help the situation, but at this point, there was nothing I could say or do that would make the situation better, and I didn't feel comfortable staying. So we left. It's a hot mess, and it honestly sucks that this is how it played out, but that's where things are at the moment, and probably will stay for quite a while. So it is what it is. It goes without saying that she definitely won't be at the wedding, and now we're trying to decide if we want just our parents there or if we want it to just be the two of us. And that's the end of that.
I still invited my ex-sister-in-law despite my in-laws' wishes.
Man, forget them in-laws.
Trigger warning, emotional and mental abuse. And OP says, keep in mind, I, Anna, 35 female, am usually not one to speak up. I'm a fellow introvert, recovering people pleaser with a little anxiety when it comes to conflict. Don't get me wrong, I love drama. As long as it's not my own, I just like to sit on the side and observe while eating popcorn.
Just like us.
Yeah. By the way, this comes from Imaginary Resist 784 on the r/Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
And OP says, I met my husband, 36 male, let's call him Dan, when we were teenagers. And we have been together since we were 18 and 19. So we kind of grew up together. We lived 3 hours and a toll road apart back then, so he moved in with me pretty quickly. He's the middle child of a bunch of 6 siblings. It has always been kind of an issue for one of his elder brothers, now 41 male, let's call him Luke, that I stole his little brother and moved him far away from him.
Bruh.
Dude, that's so weird.
It is kind of weird.
Your siblings can move.
They can do that. They can move to New York to get away from you. It's fine.
For all this time, Luke has had some kind of anger issues. Who moved? No, they can't move. Wait.
Editor, put a delay response on Sophia.
No, they can't move. I'm with Luke. Come back. And has had this kind of know-it-all attitude towards me and my husband. I always felt like he didn't like me. Luke met his now ex-wife, now 34 female, let's call her Mary, in 2011. Around the same time, I got pregnant with our first child. She got pregnant pretty fast, too, by accident. Our daughters were born 2 months apart in 2012. My husband and I have been struggling for years with school, different jobs, health issues, money, etc. We have had our ups and downs like most couples do. We rented an apartment for 10 years. Money was always tight up until 2021. By this time, we now had 2 daughters. I finished my degree in social education. We both got decent jobs, a car, and started saving for our first house.
Okay.
And in the meantime, Luke and Mary had got 3 kids in total, a house and a car, well-paid jobs, some insurance money, etc. And their own personal issues as well.
But it sounds like OP's got it figured out pretty well.
Luke always flashed his money like he had a money tree in his backyard or something. Or let's call it dirty money. Dang, call Luke out.
Uh-oh.
You
gotta
know-
learn how to clean it.
Yeah. You know, he has done some illegal crap. He's always rubbed it in Dan's face, how he should have lived his life in a different way so money would come faster.
Oh my gosh.
Or that he should move closer to him so they could work together and make some dirty money. Is he saying this?
I think so.
Is he calling your husband up and being like,
Hey, you want to make some dirty money?
why? Who does that?
Like, hey, let's go sell some fun
I feel like he-
pugs.
I feel like he thinks he's in like Pulp Fiction.
Probably. It is glorified within movies. But dude,
It's so
if
weird.
all you're chasing is money and materials,
It's not a good life.
dude, I'm rich. I am.
Oh, and in love and friendship.
Just like I was thinking today, because someone that I know is in a very beachy place. And I'm like, dude, I'm also in a great place.
Yeah,
And I'm with great friends and great company. I'm rich.
exactly. I agree. You don't need money or material things to have a good
Yeah.
life. For Dan and I, it has never been about money. Happiness comes from spending time together, etc. Yeah.
Boom.
That's a good mindset. At first, we only saw the in-laws on birthdays or special occasions, but over the years, we all grew closer to Mary. She has a special bond with our middle daughter. For a little more context, our differences show a lot through how we are raising our children. I expect my children to behave in public, treat their own belongings right, respect others' privacy and belongings, not talk back, eat what's being served, etc. I'm not a strict parent, my kids just know boundaries. I have studied children's development and work in some kind of daycare and kindergarten. Luke and Mary's kids, on the other hand, that's a whole other story. But I'm a professional and tend to not mix work and others' personal life outside of work. We finally bought our house in 2022. It's a big house. Bigger than Luke's.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look
Little-
at you, Luke. Flex on them.
Measurement off.
Yeah.
Mine's bigger.
It's not about the size, OP. It's about the happiness that happens in your life.
So the frequency.
What?
Like the frequency of the
no,
happiness?
just don't compare.
Or is it more like the wave?
Okay.
Or is it Taco the Sailor?
So they would come visit us more often because we have the space. We have chosen to live in a cheaper part of the country so we can afford more room for a family of 5. And then along came our third and last pregnancy. This one was the hardest for my body, and I suffered with pelvic joint pain, and some days I could hardly walk. Luke, Mary, and the kids joined us for the Christmas holiday in 2022. And let me tell you, crap went downhill from here. I was the one cooking and cleaning, picking toys up from all over the house. While I was in the kitchen, their 2 youngest kids had emptied several boxes of toys on the floor in the playroom, and they started throwing them around, trying to aim at a picture frame on the wall. This was the very first time I said something about how to behave as a guest in my house. But this didn't suit Luke. His mood dropped instantly, and I heard him tell his middle child that he knew I was lying and that he didn't have to clean up after himself. What?
Okay.
Lying about what?
You can go now. Bye.
I'm sorry, Luke was like,
Hey, kid, get over here. OP's totally lying about throwing things in the house. She actually wants you to behave like that. Do it.
little devil on his shoulder.
That makes no sense.
Mary ended up picking up after them. They left early the next morning. In February, we visited them for 2 of their children's birthday party. Luke was in a bad mood, and in the middle of the party, he fell asleep on the couch. My husband and one of his other brothers went for a short drive. When they got back, Luke had woken up and threw a temper tantrum at his brothers and told them to get out of his house. He was screaming in their faces. We all left by then. Yikes! By spring 2023, our 3rd daughter was born and they came to visit us again. Wait, I'm sorry. He's screaming in people's faces. I don't think that would necessarily have to be like, you never see him again, but it doesn't even seem like they had a conversation. Like, I wouldn't go see him again if there was no conversation
did.
or apology.
They did have a conversation.
Not after that. Not after the screaming.
Well, don't you remember? It was a very one-way, one-sided,
Yeah, it was just him yelling.
loud.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a conversation.
Yeah, that was the only time they talked about that screaming match was when it was happening.
Yikes.
I would
I mean-
not go back if they didn't have at least, like, demanded an apology.
Well, we already kind of know how Luke feels about all this and his kind of mindset. Don't you? If he's making this kind of money on the side, do you think his home life is the opposite?
Yeah, I don't. What?
Do you think if he's making dirty money on the side or as a job, is his home life also going to be like the best thing ever?
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, why would they go visit? Let them visit again.
Got it. Okay.
I knew they were having trouble in their marriage, and I wanted Mary to stay family, even if they decided to split up. So I asked her to be the godmother to our youngest daughter. To be fair to my brother-in-law, we also asked him. You don't have to be
You don't
fair
have to
when you're
play fair.
picking godparents.
This isn't T-ball where everyone gets a participation award.
Yeah, I don't personally know my godmother.
Oh,
And, you don't have to.
mine Jordan's alive sometimes.
You gotta pick people who are like, you're
don't-
you're close to both of them.
Yeah, I don't think my godfather knows he's my godfather. Should talk to him.
On the day when the baptisms took place, we also had a surprise wedding. We finally got married. Okay, congratulations.
Wait, what?
I guess OP and OP's partner just got married.
Surprisingly?
Yeah,
Time out.
I think they were like at the church and they were like, "Hey, we're already here."
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Plan the proposal, surprise wedding. Hey, we're going to get proposed on this day, but you don't know when I'm going to marry you.
Oh, you never know.
You never know. What do
I
we
would
think
hate
about that?
I would hate that because I would want to. Well, personally, I would want to plan the wedding.
Okay. Yes, we'll
But,
say
okay,
everything.
for a person who like
Everything's
didn't
already
want it.
planned.
Yeah.
All that stuff's good to go. All you
Mhm.
do is just live your life, and at any given moment, you're handed a white dress, and you just got to get going.
Someone better be there to like do my hair.
Yeah, you're already you're 80% of the way there. like at any given moment, you're already at 80%.
Okay. Maybe. I guess. I don't
I think
know.
we should make that a thing.
we could pitch it to
Take
people.
the stress out of wedding planning.
Yeah, someone else plans it and you don't know about it.
And you put more emphasis on the proposal and you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or like thousands of dollars on the
Dang.
proposal.
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I mean, if you want, if you got that kind of
You don't even
cash.
spend that money on weddings.
You haven't been to a lot of weddings.
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't. Have you
What?
been to one where they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars?
No, because I'm not friends with billionaires.
Millionaires,
Yeah, millionaires.
doctors, lawyers.
You need to work on your network, Sophia.
No one knew except my grandparents, whom we only told because they live outside the country, and we only invited our immediate family. I hate the attention and wanted the day to be about our daughter, not us. Luke showed up at the church with his children. No Mary. He had told her to stay home. He didn't want her to be a part of his family. His wife?
Sounds like it. They don't like OP.
What? Afterwards, we had a little celebration at our house with a 3-course menu, and my husband surprised me with a speech and a toast. Meanwhile, Luke made the whole day about him. He cried like a little girl in the church during the food, the speech, everything. He made sure he got sympathy from everyone in my family, even my grandmother. Since then, she's always asking about him when we talk. We've only seen Luke and Mary a couple of times since that day. Their relationship has been going downhill since then. They have been accusing each other of violence, harmful acts, booze, substance, you name it.
Oh my god.
Police have been at their house several times. She finally moved out of the house before last Christmas, but the mental abuse kept going. He is accusing her of manipulating everyone to believe that he is having a drinking problem. In hindsight, there have always been signs of harmful mental acts by him. There have been times when he asked her to go to bed so that he could spend time with his brother. What? He's telling an adult to go to bed so he can spend time with his brother? You can do that. She doesn't have to go to bed.
She probably doesn't know that's an option if she's in this mind warp of a relationship.
That's crazy. It's always been at times when her and I had fun playing games and sipping a little wine after the kids were put to bed. But at the same time, he has been drinking several bottles of red wine while we shared 1 or 2.
Oh my god.
When one of us was pregnant, he was the one drinking.
Oh.
I would just not be around these people. Like, why isn't the husband calling his brother out for this behavior?
That is weird. There's that aspect, family's family.
Yeah, but like...
There's a point where your family needs to be in timeout.
You need to call him out. A few weeks ago, he showed his true colors and crap went down. It seems like his true colors were pretty...
This is
apparent.
gray?
Yeah. I miss Mary. I was never ready to lose her as a sister-in-law or as a friend. Mary misses our daughters, and they miss her. Their children miss Dan. Everyone misses everyone except Luke. No one misses him. Everyone hates the negative tension around him. So I invited Mary over for a weekend. She would bring the 2 youngest boys. Unfortunately, the boys got sick and they didn't come. The middle boy went to spend some time with his father and told him about the trip. And let me tell you, he was mad. He was livid. He started blowing Mary's phone up with calls and messages, then my husband's phone telling him to never speak to him again. My husband had nothing to do with it, so I sent a message to Luke. I told him he could be mad at me, not Dan and not Mary, and that he could just have asked about it and I would have explained. I added that he could call me and I would tell him what was going on. Luke simply replied that he had nothing more to say to me. Fair enough, I answered. The next hour, he's probably drinking even more and is still blowing his anger out on Mary by text. Then he starts messaging me again. He tells me he wants to be removed as a godfather to my children and that he will contact the church on Monday. Be prepared, he adds. I reply that I can do it for him if it's possible, and besides, I remind him that he is only godfather to one of them. I start Googling if it's possible, then message again, and I'm sorry, it can't be done, unfortunately.
Weird. So, my question, getting rid of godfather rights, what does that even do?
Nothing. That's why it's so stupid.
It's literally like a symbolic title. Like, yes, there are, like, technically, in the eyes of the church, roles that you're trying to fulfill and, like, you're trying to guide your child in the ways of, you know, the religion. But, like, effectively, it does nothing. You don't need to, like, say, remove me as God. Like, there's no, you know, form
Yeah, call the
The
church
church
up.
was probably like, he just doesn't
All
have to
right.
be there.
You're released. What
Yeah.
else are we supposed to say?
Yeah, it's like if you got like a degree in something and then you were like,
I don't want to be a lawyer. Don't make like get rid of my degree. They'd be like,
don't have to be a lawyer. Just don't be a lawyer.
Don't do it.
We're not going to take away your degree. Just don't do it. He fires back. F you, Anna. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, I'd be proud of you guys if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
This is so ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
This is a waste of our time and
Yeah.
your time too. Just the
Stop
audacity.
talking to him.
Yeah.
Literally, I'd go low to no contact. If he reaches out and is apologetic, maybe we can figure that out. But like right now, I feel like you guys keep giving him chances when he hasn't apologized for any of his behavior.
Yeah. It's weird.
But
You
there
don't
is a
have to-
little bit left to this story. I answered, the world doesn't revolve around you, Luke. Seek some help before you burn any more bridges. I have done nothing wrong towards you, but keep your frustrations coming at me. I have wide shoulders. I can handle it. Nice. He responds, I will never set my feet at your house again. This bridge can never be rebuilt again. Fine, I reply. And he finishes with a thumbs up. I'd be like, thank goodness. Please don't come back.
Please don't. I don't. Want
You
here
promise?
anyways. No, you don't. You don't really mean it, do you?
Oh, no. After that day, Luke told Mary to never bring his children to visit us. You can't really. Well, I guess they're still together?
They are.
Oh, rough.
Probably will be for a little bit.
That's the crazy thing. Like, they're still together, and he's mad that OP is reaching out to hang out with his wife. Like, it's not even like, oh,
Ooh.
you know, we're getting divorced. Why are you hanging out with my ex?
Yeah, in a household like that, something probably happened, and he's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
a clue that she's gonna say something
Mm-hmm.
to her.
Yeah, he's trying to isolate. I
OP.
mean, he's trying, and
He is.
kind of
Yeah, that's
effectively
just,
isolating her.
yeah.
Dan doesn't give a flying F about Luke. He grew up with this behavior and has been tolerating it because of Mary and the children. He hasn't talked to Luke again. Now, I need you to tell me, am I the a-hole for inviting my ex-sister-in-law to come visit us?
no.
No, and I think you should keep reaching out to her, regardless of what Luke says, because she needs
Yeah.
a friend.
Yeah, make sure she's doing all right. 'Cause that's
Not great situation for anyone.
yeah.
But that is the end of the story and the end of the episode.
Yes.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you
And
and see you tomorrow.